Welcome to Films from the Phantom Zone, your podcast about failed and forgotten comic book movies, where we watch a forgotten superhero movie and decide, does this belong in the Phantom Zone to be forgotten forever or out and about for everyone to rewatch and remember fondly? My name's Arnaldo. I'm with
Berto.
That's my friend. Berto, first of all, what day is it and what movie are we watching?
Recording day or the...
No, it's like the big event. Like the big event.
Oh, it's Spider Monday.
It's Spider Monday. It took me all day to realize that today was already like a semi-holiday. It's Cyber Monday.
Right.
And I'm like, are they just trying to piggyback off Cyber Monday and be like, it's Spider Monday?
I think they are.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, it's Spider Monday. We have our Spider-Man tickets. Well, you don't yet.
Y'all have your Spider-Man tickets. Mine are very much up in the air.
And we are talking about a Spider-Man movie. So
correct. It's basically Spider season for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, fuck Christmas.
Right. I mean, you more than me. You've been watching. Didn't you just watch all three Raimi films?
I watched 1 and 2. I have not watched 3 yet.
So this is Amazing Spider-Man 2, 2014, directed by Marc Webb. We just did Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Also directed by Marc Webb.
Yeah, no pun intended, Marc Webb. Obviously starring Andrew Garfield.
And they're often forgotten about.
We said this last week. These are kind of the most forgotten of all the Spider-Man movies.
It's kind of like a black sheep.
Yeah, it's the least amount of buzz, but these movies were hot. It was a hot topic like 7 years ago when this movie came out.
At the time, yeah.
So there's going to be like little time markers in the description. So you can jump around segments if you like. Basically, we're going to start with our initial expectations. No, we're not. We're going to do it in the background, right?
Yes.
That's
our new thing.
That's our new thing. We're going to do that first. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit of the background of the movie. We're going to go through our initial expectations. Basically how we felt about the movie when we saw it the first time and going in today. Then we're going to get into the plot of the film. We're going to analyze it to the best of our abilities. Before we get into Keep or Cancel, it's a fun segment where we talk about the stars of the movie and we decide if we're going to keep them or cancel them. This week, Jaime Foxx.
Oh, yeah.
Real name is... we'll get there. No spoilers.
Jameson Foxworth.
It's not that interesting. And then at the very end, we're going to decide if we're going to put this in the Phantom Zone or not. To be forgotten, right?
Right.
Skip around if you want. And last but not least, we are on Twitch. We record all these episodes on Twitch. It's not the nice polished version that you hear if you've been, listening to all these episodes back to back to back, like our good listener here who is on our chat. Hey, you're going to get a fully different experience because we're going to stop. We're going to take breaks. We're going to talk about the beers that we're drinking. We're going to chit chat with you all in the chat.
We're going to stutter a little bit. We're going to fuck up.
Yeah. We mess up quite a bit and all that gets cut out. If you want to come hang out with us, you want to be a part of the podcast, twitch.tv/filmsfrompz. It's Monday night. We do mostly Monday nights.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Let's get into the background of some of these characters. Berto, what do you know about Gwen Stacy?
It was like she was Spider-Man's like first love.
So 1965, Amazing Spider-Man number 31. Under Steve Ditko, she was kind of the boring hot girl. Like, she was just pretty. Yeah. That's it,
Like what they did with MJ in the Raimi movies. She was just the girl next door.
Yeah, because in those Raimi movies, again, we're not going to get into those for a while. Those Raimi movies treat MJ as not as like spunky as she is in the comics at all.
No, not at all. She's kind of stupid in them.
She's very kind of plain MJ, right?
Whereas
plain Jane MJ.
I feel like these movies actually made Gwen Stacy very much like involved with what's going on in the plot. She's spunky.
She's smart.
She's a smart ass too.
Yeah. So I think both characters are kind of like, in the movies are kind of like a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of misaligned.
Yeah.
A few years later, MJ is introduced, and she became kind of the much more popular character. Fans were drawn more into Mary Jane, and the two were supposed to have like a Betty and Veronica kind of love triangle vibe going on.
Because it's supposed to be Riverdale at superheroes, or Archie comics at superheroes, not Riverdale, the dark TV show.
But something that's funny about Gwen Stacy is that she constantly thought Peter was a coward. Like, that was a common thing in those comics because every time danger was afoot, there goes Peter Parker running away.
He disappears and then Spider-Man
shows up. She's like, you're a wimp. Basically, why should I like you when hunky Flash Thompson over there?
Yeah, the dreamboat Flash Thompson.
Yeah. And that was kind of another thing is that, like, she sort of had a thing for Flash Thompson. And a lot of that also was, like, Peter's insecurities. He always thought that she was into Flash Thompson. So basically, Gwen Stacy for a lot of her run was just kind of boring. They started introducing different elements to kind of liven her up, like her dad,
Captain Stacy,
who figures out that Spider-Man, or Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and on his deathbed tells Spider-Man to take care of Gwen. Not leave her alone, like the last movie, but they're kind of not far off, especially in the context of that film.
Yeah, basically his dying wish is like, make sure she's safe.
Yeah. He was like, take care of her because she really loves you, and then just like dies. But I mean, I do like how that last movie interpreted it and made it more like, you can't be with my daughter because you're going to put her in danger.
Yep.
So basically, writers Jerry Conway and John Romita Sr., who's the inker, but again, Marvel method, so he had a lot of play in writing these comics also. They wanted to kill her off. And the story goes that they got approval from Stan Lee while he wasn't paying attention. He was about to like leave for a business trip. And he was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. As he's gone, he sees that they just killed Gwen Stacy.
And he was like, what did you guys do?
Comes back and he is pissed off. But they're like, you said we could do this. But Gwen Stacy, a lot of the characteristics of Gwen Stacy, along with Sue Storm, are based on Stan Lee's wife.
Okay.
Joan, I think it is, who's like this beautiful blonde girl. That was like his like prototypical, like the type that he likes.
Yeah.
Right? And so he was more drawn to Gwen Stacy than any of these other writers were, basically.
Okay, so he was upset that she was...
Yeah. And this marks... Yeah, right. And this marks a big deal for Marvel Comics and all comics. A lot of people consider this the start of the Bronze Age of comics because a major character was killed.
And it also actually became a very, like, important part of Spider-Man, like, lore.
Yeah. This is the thing that enforces the duality dilemma on Spider-Man the most, that he has to have a secret identity so that he can protect the ones that he loves.
Yeah.
Because he can't get close to people because that puts those people in danger, which is a theme that Spider-Man has like ran with ever since they killed off Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
Every movie has done it, right? And I think it's super interesting because the new movies, there's not too much secret identity stuff in the MCU.
Right.
But basically the only person with a secret identity is Peter Parker.
Yeah, and it makes sense because he's also the only one that's still like a kid.
He wants like that normal life still,
yeah.
Right?
Doesn't really seem to be working out too great for him.
No, I mean, there's obviously the premise of this next movie, No Way Home, is that like, everyone knows my secret identity and my life is ruined now, so...
Let me try to fix it.
Well, yeah, can we go back, please? They ended up finding ways to bring Gwen Stacy back. She was brought back first as a clone, who then fucks off real quick.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm a clone, and then just leaves. Because she's like, I'm not the real Gwen Stacy, so like, I don't actually love you.
They did another thing weird with her where she apparently had Norman Osborn's kid. Did you see that?
Yeah, isn't that one of the things that people like to forget about, though?
People like to forget about it. I think even the writers like to forget about it. It was like a weird thing.
No, seriously, that's a 40-year age gap. That's not comfortable.
It happened, but we pretend it didn't.
That's just that's a retcon.
And then we also obviously have Spider-Gwen.
Yes, so that's from a different universe, right? Is it Ultimate or from an even different universe?
It's an even different universe.
Gotcha.
Yeah. In her universe, Peter Parker turns into the Lizard and gets killed.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Wow. That Spider-Gwen's really popular, though.
Yes, and I think that Spider-Verse movie helped out a lot with that. Because she was a
she was
character
already
before
popular
that.
before that. I mean, I remember like at cons, you'd see... I learned who Spider-Gwen was by seeing so many
like
cosplays that I had to be like, who the fuck is this character?
Her costume's cool.
I think that might be a big part of it too.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are a lot of great female characters in like comic books that you could cosplay, but most of them are like hypersexualized.
Yes.
And Gwen just looks like a badass, you know, in a cool hoodie.
And she's kind of like a punk girl too, so
yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah, there you go. Electro, introduced in 1964, Amazing Spider-Man number 9. He's an electricity guy. You get it, right? You know what I mean?
His original origin is like he was like working on a power line, and then there was like a freak lightning accident, and that's how he got his powers. Very simple, as most things were.
Right. He's known for that lightning bolt mask. Like the 5-star.
I think in some iterations of him, he also has like a scar on his face that's like in the shape of lightning.
Lightning.
Which might be why he wears a mask, actually.
The Ultimate Universe, though, is Bald and Blue, and that's what this is based off of.
Yes.
And it's probably a nod to Dr. Manhattan.
Yep.
Like,
and there was a lot of nods to Dr. Manhattan in this movie, I felt like, too.
Well,
like the way he would appear.
Yeah, that's definitely one of them. And we're going to get to that because the movie had already come out too. Before the movie, that's one of the most famous tiles, squares.
Oh, yeah.
Boxes. Art.
That's
some of the most famous art from that book is like Dr. Manhattan like materializing.
Panel.
Yeah, panel, thank you.
Box.
Yeah,
square.
Box. There's
art.
a word for it. Green Goblin, introduced in 1964. Amazing Spider-Man number 14. You get the idea. There's just a lot of like villains of the week.
Yeah.
And like the first 20 villains are just like the famous ones.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of early villains that you just never hear about, like Stiltman.
That Stiltman movie is coming, man. We saw a bit of it in Daredevil.
And Big Wheel.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
There's a lot of dumb villains, but Green Goblin though is like almost like Spider-Man's Joker.
Yeah, for sure. He
Even
is
down to like his mannerisms.
Yeah, he is kind of that opposite character, in a lot of ways. Yeah. Norman Osborn, most of the time, there's actually like 4 or 5 characters that take up the mantle of Green Goblin, and then like another 4 or 5 that take up the mantle of the Hobgoblin.
That's a big thing in Marvel, though. A lot of people will take up like mantles.
Well, the Hobgoblin is interesting because it's like an homage to the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Like they're unrelated
like
for the most part.
Green Goblin fanboy.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a cosplayer. But Harry specifically takes up the mantle in Amazing Spider-Man number 136. So that is probably many years later.
Yeah.
Wow. I wrote down fun fact and then I put nothing after it. Let me try to remember what the fun fact was.
What was the fun fact about the Green Goblin?
Okay. I remember now. Fun fact. Harry dates all the women that Peter likes. And that's something I feel like I should have known and I did not know.
Does that make Harry a piece of shit?
He's not a good friend.
He's like, oh man, you're interested in her? Well, I'm going to make the move.
Yeah. That's kind of the theme, is that I almost said Toby and Tom, Peter. Is that Peter Parker he's like second coolest.
Yeah.
Well, he's not cool. But you know what I'm saying? He's like the second to Harry out of the two friends.
Though, because he's Spider-Man. He just doesn't want people to know that.
Exactly. There's that high school dilemma. I'm the coolest kid, but nobody can know it.
He's definitely the smartest kid, at least in the comics, and he seems to think everybody around him is an idiot.
He dates Liz Allen, Mary Jane, and Gwen Stacy. So, geez. The man named John. He's saying Norman Osborn also became the Iron Patriot in an alternate universe.
Yes.
That is true.
He also becomes the leader of the Dark Avengers.
Well, the Iron Patriot wasn't Rhodey ever. It was always
that was
Norman
a thing
Osborn.
that the MCU
Marvel,
did on their own.
He was president.
He was president. He was the leader of the Dark Avengers.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I guess was a bunch of villains.
Iron Patriot, right?
I think as Iron Patriot, yeah. Which they were all like pretending to be good guys.
Right. Yeah. But
it was just a group of supervillains.
Yeah, they're still doing nefarious things.
Yeah.
That's all I got for the background. Those are the kind of our main players, our main characters.
What about the Rhino?
Oh yeah, Rhino. I didn't write down anything about him.
He's barely in this movie, but
yeah. Well, we'll talk about it. But he's like a big he's like a hulking guy. Like he's really large and he wears a rhino suit.
He wears a onesie.
Yeah, with a horn.
Not in this movie though, since this was a more grounded universe,
right?
So, where everybody just becomes animal hybrids and stuff.
They're all shooting up things without testing them. Initial expectations for this film, Berto, go.
At the time, I was very hyped for this movie because I liked the first movie so much. I remember seeing the trailers and being like, "Oh, this looks pretty cool." Mm-hmm. I didn't hate it when I watched it, but I was like, "Man, the first movie was a lot better." But I didn't hate this movie by any means or anything like that.
Yeah, I think my expectations were pretty much just kind of middling, and I mean, I like that previous movie a lot, but there's something about the poster of this movie and the trailers and seeing Electro that already kind of had me concerned.
I wasn't that upset about what Electro looked like or anything like that. Because as soon as I saw him, oh, they're doing Ultimate Electro.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you recognized. Yeah, this movie, I saw it and I hated it. And I don't know if there was another modern day superhero movie that I hated more than this film.
Iron Man 3?
Coming out of it. No, I thought Iron Man 3 was fine. And I like Iron Man 3. We argue about it. I just think it has a lot of problems. But this film, I left the theater
upset?
Yeah, angry. And I was like, this movie sucks. I never want to see it again. I have a big DVD collection. And I was like, well, superhero movies, that's kind of my thing. I'm going to own all of them, even the bad ones. And like I already had this Phantom Zone attitude back then because I was like, they're still worth watching. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I own it, and this is the first time I've ever popped it in. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
Since the theater.
This is the second time I've seen this movie.
Wow.
So I was expecting to hate it just as much, and let's get into it. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the plot of this movie, guys. Richard Parker, Peter's dad, speaks into his basement computer while he should have been playing hide and seek with his son. This scene recontextualizes the opening of the previous film, where Peter finds his dad's office broken into. After dropping off Peter with Uncle Ben and Aunt May, they board a private jet to escape. Richard and Mary Parker lament that their lives are over, but they can't jeopardize Peter's. As Richard uploads the rest of his super secret research to the internet, the co-pilot attacks them, having just killed the pilot. He holds the only parachute and makes a grab for the laptop. They fight, Richard shoots the window open and jettisons his attacker, and the plane presumably crashes. He was working during hide and seek.
I think hide and seek was just a ploy so you get Peter to fuck off for a little bit while he did something important.
That's a shitty parent move, man, right there. Let me say.
I feel like all of our parents did something similar to that. It's like, oh yeah, go just find this
shut up
thing
for a minute, please. Just here, make sure you count to 600.
He even set up like a broom with his shoes behind a curtain.
That's a dick move. Just keep him busy longer while I can work some more. Also, this is the only time you'll ever see two people fighting over a Sony Avio laptop. Just saying.
Yeah, they're not that great of computers. Also, what year did this take place in right now? Like,
it's about somewhere between 10 to 15.
So like 2004?
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's laptops.
It looked like an older, like chunkier laptop.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, the Sony product placement is strong in this movie.
Every Sony movie, though, or every Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, sorry. We just got a comment about the Sony product placement. There's about 6 Vio computers, like a bunch of Sony
Peter
TVs.
Parker using Ericsson?
Yes, and phones. And I was going to say in Sony Ericsson phones.
And Venom, God. TV.
Hey, nice TV. Just a big, like Sony QLED.
That's a nice TV.
That's Samsung QLED. Sony Bravia? I don't know.
Whatever. Why are we advertising for Sony?
Yeah, no. Looking for sponsorship, Sony. Hit me up. I also have your headphones. I like them a lot.
Give me a PS5.
Ooh, PS5, please. New suit Spider-Man swings down to fight the Russian mob, stealing some Oscorp plutonium. The truck is hijacked by an insane Paul Giamatti. I love that this is Oscar Award nominated. He's a serious actor, and he is just
I
hamming
always
it up.
see him as the guy from Big Fat Liar.
Oh, yeah. That movie with, what's his face?
Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes.
Yep. Spider-Man stops to save a very nerdy man named Max, who's stumbling with his loose blueprints. You would have a bag. Come on. No one's just carrying blueprints like that. Anyway, Spider-Man gives him a pep talk, fixes his hair, and swings off. He webs up all the bad guys and the Oscorp plutonium and stops the armored car from crashing into a bus. Meanwhile, at their own graduation, Gwen gives her valedictorian speech about life being short. There's some foreshadowing for you right there. Yeah.
I do like how this entire sequence feels very comic booky.
You like that? Because
I liked it. Like Spidey doing Spidey stuff.
Okay, maybe I agree with you. Yeah, I do like that stuff. What I don't like is that a lot of times when we talk about action in a movie, we talk about like weight, when there's weight to action or weight to like fights. And what that means is like, we were watching, I don't know why we were doing this. I'm not going to stop and explain. We were watching old WWE clips last night on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
And when Stone Cold Steve Austin is punching Vince McMahon, it doesn't look real. It looks weightless, like as if his hand was made out of like foam.
Like he's pulling his punches.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't get the impact. It's almost like an uncanny valley thing where like your brain will recognize what a real punch is.
Yeah, it's like he's hitting him, but like not really.
Yeah.
Austin 316 says, I just kicked your ass.
So a lot of this action feels weightless. It just feels like pure CGI. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel exciting. So like the part where he's in the van and he's like webbing up all the canisters that are falling everywhere, that does not feel real in the slightest. It's almost like overly produced, you know?
Okay.
Like they're not like falling with gravity. I don't know. There's something so not good looking about it. Do you know where I'm getting?
I think so.
And
What about
then
him saving that bus?
Well, I was going to say, he just kind of digs his heels on the ground.
That's what Peter Parker tries to do with the train in the Sam Raimi movie.
And no, but the way the concrete just kind of breaks and he stops that big bus, it still doesn't feel real. I don't know, because you compare it to Spider-Man 2, you know, when he digs his heel in the train track, Tobey Maguire, and the wood starts breaking, that's real wood that they broke in a special effect. And it does look real, and it feels more real because the train is really big and he can't just stop it with his heels, right?
Right.
There is that sense of weight to that scene that there isn't here. And there's a part in this movie later that gets the weight right. But for the most part, I think a lot of this action just doesn't feel real, you know?
Well, I think a lot of it might also be because this isn't meant to be like an action set piece. It's just like a lighthearted intro to like, oh, this is what Spider-Man's up to.
Yeah,
and another day on the job
and
for
him. And it should be fun and it should be lighthearted. That's not my problem. The problem is just like it's a CGI fest that doesn't look good. Yeah,
okay,
that's really what it boils down to. And Paul Giamatti is just like,
I am killer.
I don't understand what they were thinking.
I don't think you were supposed to take him seriously at all, though.
Yeah, but there's.
It seems like I really like the sequence, and you really didn't.
You know what though? It doesn't fit with at least the previous film, I think.
No, it's definitely a shift in tone.
Yes. So let's move on. Late to his own graduation, Peter arrives just in time to receive his diploma and smooch Gwen in front of everyone. He sees Gwen's dad, Captain Stacy, who haunts him for breaking his promise to leave Gwen out of his dangerous superhero life. Later, he tells Gwen he can't keep living in dishonor of her father. Sick of Peter's back and forth, Gwen makes a decision to break up with Peter herself, saying she loves Spider-Man but loves Peter Parker more. That is such a good point. Like the burden of being a dual identity superhero. It's the classic dilemma for characters like Batman, Spider-Man. Yeah. Can't really balance that, like the two identities together, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's something that these two movies do a lot better than the Raimi movies, because the Raimi movies, Peter's just like, I can't be with you. It's dangerous. Bye.
Yeah, and then yes, and then in the next movie, he just drops it like on a dime. He's like, all right, I'm done being Spider-Man.
Like, wait, yeah, I'm done being Spider-Man. Let's get together now.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, it's like there's an actual like inner conflict there within Peter, and you know, like he desperately wants to be with Gwen, but like he's kind of being haunted by Captain Stacy.
I love all that stuff. I love everything that Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker do in both these movies.
Yes, their chemistry's fantastic. The writing between them's really good.
Chemistry's off the charts, man. Like if you're not a little like turned on by watching these guys on screen, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're not human. Can we talk about how cool Peter Parker is?
We can talk about it. I have some thoughts about it. We can talk about it.
Yeah, he's so fucking cool,
he's
man.
He's a cool dude.
Are you kidding me? Okay, we would be wearing shirts and ties.
Yeah, you know, fucking idiots.
Yeah, like bozos. And here he comes with shorts and a t-shirt, makes out with the valedictorian on stage.
Breath. He's all winded, sweaty.
He just like barely makes it on time. God.
Yeah, he makes out the valedictorian and then like high fives the principal and then leaves.
So fucking cool. His hair so cool.
Here's the thing. A lot of people complain that Peter Parker is cool, but also like this is a different Peter Parker. We are allowed to have a version of Peter Parker that's cool. No,
I completely agree with you. And there's other times in this movie where I'm like, well, this doesn't really do Spider-Man correctly, but there is no correct. You can do different kinds of iterations. And I feel like in the comics, there's so much more room for that because they can just be like, oh, different universe.
Right. And there are many, many iterations of Spider-Man. We never really see a cool Peter Parker, though, until these movies, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think it's too cool. Again, it wasn't believable that he was being bullied in the last movie.
That's the thing. It's not believable that people would bully this guy.
No.
People would want to be friends with this guy.
Yeah. I feel like this movie kind of course corrects the series, because it's like, at the end of the last movie, Flash is like, I want to be your friend, Peter, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of that was after Uncle Ben died and stuff. But there was a deleted scene at the graduation with Flash Thompson there, and, him and Peter are like buddies.
Oh, in this movie?
In this movie, yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't watch all the deleted scenes. I just watched one.
Yeah, like they're like buddies. Like, Peter's like, congrats, man. And Flash is like, yeah, I'm going to join the army.
He would.
Which he does in the comics, and then he gets his legs blown off. And then
oh, that's right. And then he becomes Agent Venom.
He becomes Agent Venom.
That's right.
Eventually. long after Eddie Brock doesn't have Venom anymore.
Right. We're going to get into it, but I'm amazed that they didn't squeeze Venom into this movie.
They sort of did.
Okay, cool. Don't tell me. We're going to save that. Ooh, it's fun montage time about Spider-Man's role in New York City, the public's opinion, and vigilantism, which ends in another masturbation joke.
Yes.
Aunt May tries to come in to his room.
He's
but
like,
no!
no!
He's got that lock. He's wearing the Spider-Man outfit, so he's like, you can't come in, and he's all dirty and sweaty.
He's like, I'm very naked right now.
And he's just hiding under the sheets. Yeah. Cool. Aunt May is going back to school, but keeping it from Peter. What happened to secrets have costs, Peter? They're not for free. Do you remember that line?
Yes, but that's something called a double standard. And
You may have heard of it.
everybody at some point kind of like has a double standard about something. I don't want to go as far as to call her a hypocrite because she's doing it for good reasons. Because like they're broke as shit. She doesn't want Peter to like think like, oh, you're doing way too much. Like, why are you going to work at the hospital now?
Yeah. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but it is kind of there is a little bit of symbolism here because they're both trying to do their dirty laundry, right? They have their secrets.
Yep.
And they're each trying to do laundry, but the laundry contains their secrets and they can't do it while the other one is there.
Yeah, because he's got his suit. She's got her little patch. I guess.
Go
Or
to
her uniform, I guess.
Go to a laundromat.
Yeah, you're in New York.
I guess also like that's even more public to be washing your Spider-Man outfit.
Well, yeah, because I just watched Spider-Man 2 and I like criticized Peter Parker for washing his suit at a laundromat.
He does do that in that movie. I knew that sounded familiar. Yeah.
It's funny though because Aunt May mentions that like last time he did the laundry, he turned everything red and blue.
Yeah.
And then like Peter's just like keeps making these stupid lies that are clearly not true. Like he's like, oh, I was washing the American flag.
Nobody does that. Nobody washes.
And also like earlier when he's all dirty, he's like, I was cleaning the chimney.
Oh yeah.
She's like, we don't have one. What?
Aunt May's not that bright, honestly.
I like to think that she actually knows and she's just kind of like playing along.
Yeah, playing dumb, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Max Dillon gets ready for work in front of his Spider-Man shrine on his birthday. He works at Oscorp and claims to have designed the revolutionary power grid that Oscorp made to his piece of shit boss Ryan Howard from The Office.
Do you know who Ryan Howard plays in this movie? Like the guy's name?
No, I don't.
He is Alistair Smythe, who is also the villain, the Spider Slayer.
Okay.
Eventually.
Huh. By name? Like he's named in the credits? That's interesting. God, they tried a lot in this movie.
And we'll probably talk about it during the analysis section, but like there's a lot of seeds that were planted.
There's at least like 8 seeds
that didn't really go anywhere. This is one of the ones that's like, you know, okay, it slid by. Some people might not even notice it. But this part with Max, it kind of already shows you how like he's kind of an unhinged person. Yeah,
that guy's a mass shooter waiting to happen, and I think that's what this movie does, basically.
Right.
Yes, thank you. It is BJ Novak.
Yeah, that's his real name. Yeah,
that's his real name. But I just thought it's funny because, honestly,
he's good at playing a piece of shit.
No, but he seems like the same character. That's the only reason I called him Ryan Howard, because he looks like he just got plucked from the office. It's like, hey, you work here now, and he's like, all right,
I'm gonna be a dick to this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But with Max and the like him being unhinged and all that, like even the score kind of plays into this a little bit. Did you notice that? Like his like theme. There's like voices that are like talking through it. It's like whispers.
Oh no,
it's kind of
his entire. And we're gonna get to it because I have a lot to say about his dubstep soundtrack, and how awful it is.
I like it,
but yeah, he's obviously unhinged. He's like a super fanboy, very lonely. He's impressed when someone just remembers his name.
Yep, and the fact that Spider-Man read his name tag, like he was elated that this happened, and the fact that he saved him. It makes him think he's more special than he really is. And he takes it to like an unhealthy level to where during that montage earlier with Spider-Man saving people and you hear like people talking on the radio, you hear Max talking on the radio about how Spider-Man's a good guy and he saved him and they're basically best friends now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There is something tonal here that bothers me because I feel like the last movie, Amazing Spider-Man, wanted to be modern and stray away from the Sam Raimi films as much as they could.
Yeah.
But now this film has just got like right off the bat 2 super cartoony villains. In this character and in like Paul Giamatti's. So I just, it feels like an overcorrection where maybe they felt that the last movie was a little too dark.
So they're trying to
This
kind of
one
lighten
seems-
it up a bit.
One seems very bright, and I don't mean that just tonally, like literally, like that last movie was mostly set at nighttime. This was mostly set in the daytime.
Yeah.
Philly to the J is here saying, yeah, he clings onto Spider-Man like a toxic ex.
Clings to drama.
Yeah. No, yeah, he definitely is. Again, he thinks they're best friends.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
There's something very unhealthy with the way he's thinking.
The portrayal of a nerd is just so... This is such like a 1980s stereotype that I'm like, it's that kind of thing that's very cartoony. You know, that he has like a big gap in his teeth. He's got a pocket protector, a comb over, big glasses. He drops all his blueprints. He's just like...
He's a klutz.
Yeah. And like, oh, the pretty girl even says hi to him. And he's like, oh my God, like I've been seen, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Harry Osborn arrives home to see his dying father, Norman Osborn, who's been perpetually disappointed in Harry his whole life. He asks Harry if his symptoms have set in yet, implying that his sickness is genetic and present in Harry as well. On his deathbed, Norman hands Harry his secret work files and implores onto him to finish his work and cure the Osborn curse. First of all, huge dick. Second of all,
I've always been disappointed in you, Harry.
He just straight up says it. Like, get right to the point. We only have one scene. We got to get it, you know?
Yeah, I knew when you were 11 years old you were going to be a piece of shit, so I sent you away. Like, come on.
I almost see his point towards the end, though, and where he's just like, I need you to finish my work and cure us.
And it's like, maybe you can do it.
Like, you needed to be groomed and smart enough and whatever. But I wonder if he's already been the Goblin.
I mean, he already had the suit made, that jumpsuit.
Yeah, he had the suit. Apparently the suit, and we're going to get to it, like, helps heal, you know? Like,
yeah.
it seems like
maybe
it was
kept
made
the disease
for him.
at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it was also designed to be like a soldier thing.
Yeah. I mean, and he had the glider already, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might be one of those things where they were writing it off as like, hey, this is for the army or whatever. But then also, you know, he's going to use it.
I'm going to go use it to be a menace somewhere.
Yeah, but did you see his nails? They're all like claws. They're like really long.
He looked like a goblin.
Yeah, and he's all green and shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if like hasn't met Spider-Man, but has done some green gobbling.
That's totally possible, actually, I think.
Max's horrible boss makes him stay late to fix his power grid. That's Ryan from The Office. He reaches for a live wire because everyone else is off work and enjoying themselves. Obviously, he gets electrocuted and falls into the genetically modified eel tank. They attack him, fix his teeth, and electrify him to death. At the morgue, Max awakens and is all blue and electrified.
So basically, he's Spider-Man if Spider-Man was bit by eels instead.
He's Eel Man.
He's Eel Man.
That's what they should have called him.
No, that's stupid.
Electro is stupid. We just
He
like
has
it
the powers
more.
of electricity. Yeah, no, a lot of villain names are dumb too, though.
Yeah.
But everybody's kind of a dick to Max. Max is basically Peter Parker from the Sam Raimi movies.
I was gonna say that the last just a
Everyone
second
hates
ago,
him for
yeah.
no reason.
Just what an idiot.
And he calls for help for somebody to turn off the power, and the guy's like, nah.
He's like, I'm off. Bye. Like,
It's
you
like-
know this is important.
Like, Jesus Christ. And he even says, like, hey, no, you got to turn it off. It's dangerous. But then he goes to do it anyway. In his defense, he got the job done.
Why did his teeth get fixed?
That's the only part of this I don't really like. The rest of it I'm fine with. Like, obviously I'm fine with, like, radioactive animals turning people into superpowered people because I enjoy Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, how'd you feel about, like, his transformation scene besides the teeth?
I thought the teeth were silly. That's the only reason I bring it up. But it's just like, it seems very generic. And not only that, it seems out of its time. Like, it seems like this is from, like, an early 2000s or 90s comic book movie.
Okay.
You know, it's like the classic accident waiting to happen.
I can see that.
It feels like Catwoman. It feels like, what other villains? Yeah, no, so I don't like it. That's basically what I'm saying.
My only issue is the teeth getting fixed. It's weird.
It's a strange detail to put in.
And they, like, zoomed in on it and
Yeah.
showed it happen.
And not only that, they don't really get fixed because his teeth the rest of the movie are weird too. There's like a film over them, you know?
Why not just have him have normal teeth to begin with?
Yeah, this shouldn't have been something to like zoom into, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Harry dramatically commands authority at the Oscorp board meeting. Yeah, he throws his balls around a bit.
I feel like I feel like he feels like he has to.
Sure. He promotes a young lady named Felicia as his right hand and is visited by Peter. The two haven't seen each other since they were kids. They share some laughs and memories while skipping rocks. Harry asks Peter about his romantic life, and he says it's complicated.
It's complicated.
It's complicated? Hey, it's complicated. But is that our new thing? But that her name is Gwen Stacy. The Oscorp executive he insulted earlier spies on him and orders Max Dillon's death to be swept under the rug. I hate... Hold on. I said earlier that I was not a fan of Dane DeHaan.
Like just in general?
In general. I thought he had a very punchable face, and I stand by that.
Max said that too when I was watching the movie. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Look at him. I think it's the haircut, really.
I think it's the haircut. I think his face is fine.
The more I watch this movie, as in the second time I've seen this movie, I think he's fine. I think he's a good actor.
He's a great actor.
And I think he does a good job in this movie, which is something I didn't think before.
Okay. So you had a little bit of a change of heart there?
A little bit. There's something believable about like his rapport with Peter.
Yeah, because they're like a little bit awkward at first, but he starts like bringing up some old memories, and they're like joking with each other.
In their acting, it feels like, these are two guys who've known each other for a long time and just have had a falling out, and now they're kind of rekindling their friendship. And I remember thinking this was like a weird retcon the first time. I was like, okay, like we never met Harry, but we're gonna believe that like they've been friends for a long time. They haven't seen each other since before the movies even started. But
that's believable, I think.
I think at this point, and again, I was just now having seen it again. No, I think it's fine.
There's a similar thing in the very first movie with Flash Thompson, where there seems to be a familiarity between him and Peter, almost like they like grew up together as well. Maybe they weren't friends, but
they definitely
like the way he like kind of confidently stands up to him. He's like, "Hey, Eugene!" Like, he's like, "Hey, I know your fucking real name." Like. Back to this like scene, I also like when he and Peter are talking on the coast, or the coastline, or the harbor.
It's a river.
I don't know. There's something about their conversation that just feels like almost like we're just watching two like actual people have a conversation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The acting really
the
sells
body language, like when Peter kind of like goes over the railing and stuff like that's a kind of a weird thing he's doing. I also kind of feel like that wasn't scripted.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Andrew Garfield's a good actor. They have a good chemistry, I think. Mm-hmm. And like you say, it's believable.
They feel like friends.
Yeah. Peter gets a call from Gwen and meets up, who's looking to stay friends. They flirt and go out for ice cream. He leans in for a kiss as Gwen blurts she's probably moving to England for an Oxford scholarship. Peter's spider senses go off before he can react. Their chemistry is fucking adorable, and it continues to feel so real. Even
when Peter like admits that he was like stalking her. It's like, it's not, this is weird to say, but it didn't seem creepy.
No. And I mean, I think she gets it. Like, obviously, like they're close and he's Spider-Man.
Right. She had to have known he'd do that.
Yeah.
Also, we forgot to mention the last scene that Felicia is Black Cat. Felicia Hardy.
Also known as Black Cat.
Another seed planted to try and create another cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Right? This one... I feel like was unnecessary. Why is Felicia Hardy working at Oscorp?
Well, and we're going to get to it, but it seems like the way they wrote this is they're like, we want to expand the universe very rapidly.
So we'll just have everybody at Oscorp.
Yeah. Oscorp is like the breeding ground for it all. Like, everybody's there.
It makes it feel too rushed, and it makes the movie feel bloated, and it makes this universe feel small. Does that make sense? Like, if everybody comes from the same fucking place.
Yeah.
And all at once, and like,
and I mean, there are hints that there aren't any other vigilantes in this universe because
Spider-Man was like the first.
They talk about Spider-Man in a way they're like, oh, like, what are vigilantes all about, and like, why are they doing this? And whereas like today, it's like, hey, Spider-Man, do a flip.
Yeah, maybe they were trying to do like a Batman thing, where it's like because Batman started doing his thing, these real villains started coming out and trying to challenge him.
Yeah, how it escalates.
Yeah.
Like they
the power level escalates.
Right, he incites competition.
Yeah. Something Vision mentions in Civil War.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking later on in the movie. He's like, "Oh, I'll just go to England." And I'm like, "Bro, what about all your supervillains that are going to start popping up?" Like
it's like, yeah, there's crime in England, right? They never caught Jack the Ripper.
We mentioned last week also they were dating. And they were dating up to like 2015 or something like that. So during this movie, they've not only were they dating on set, because they kind of, I think they met on the previous movie and that's where they started dating.
Yeah.
They had been together for several years already as this movie's filming. So
they didn't break up until like quite a bit after this movie.
I think it was 2015. So it would have been the year after this movie comes out. So I'm saying there's 2 years of built-in chemistry.
And it shows.
This.
It definitely shows.
Oh my God, yeah. Like they could have been ad-libbing all of that for all we know. They could have been just filming Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone just hanging out. And they're like, fuck, put it in the movie.
Put it in the movie. Let's change some of the words and we're good.
There's lighting guys, and then there's I'm being mic'd up and we're on break, I thought.
No, that's one of the things with these two movies is the chemistry between most of the characters is very good, and the acting is pretty damn good as well.
All the actors top down are really good, Well, but
for the most part.
Jamie Foxx is a good actor, and we're going to get into it. However, I just hate everything that they do in this movie. And Paul Giamatti.
The Paul Giamatti thing's a little ridiculous.
And Dane DeHaan later. But Dane DeHaan now is doing good. So far, so good, Dane.
Okay.
Max accidentally flips a van and is flanked by police on all sides. He sees himself on every screen in Times Square and finally feels seen. Spider-Man arrives and tries to talk him down, remembering him from the earlier incident. A sniper shoots at Max, which sets him off. His inner bad guy voice starts singing at him. Why? We'll get to it. He starts fighting Spider-Man, breaks a web shooter with his electricity, and grabs more power lines to charge up. Now he can fly. They fly now? Now he can fly.
They fly now.
And shoots pedestrians before Spidey hoses him down while wearing a firefighter helmet. I love that he had the time to put on the firefighter helmet during this.
A very Spider-Man thing to do. I mean, it could have easily been like, hey, you got a hose? Oh, cool, helmet.
He also learned all the names of the firefighters. So he's like, all right, great job, Billy. Whatever he says.
It was a bit. This sequence in Times Square, and I know this might not be a popular opinion, but I actually really like the build-up, at least, to this. To where, like, it almost got to a point where he almost actually talked him down.
Yeah.
Like, that part's good.
I think there's good elements here. I think the scene overall is not good. I didn't like it. However, the creating of a monster aspect to it, I do enjoy, because he had no ill will going into Times Square.
No,
I think he was confused about his powers,
and he was probably drawn to all the electricity there. Like there was probably something in him where he's like, "I need this."
Yeah, well, I think the last scene, he's walking up a street, and through his vision,
he
sees electricity, and he's like, following it. Exactly. So he does end up in Times Square, but overall, I don't like it. There's just
is it just the way it was done?
I don't know. There's a little bit of bullet time in this. Bullet time is kind of like, because of the Matrix, that's what they call when you slow down and you move the camera around. I think it's interesting because it wasn't in the last movie, I don't think.
It seemed like they did it in here to show his Spidey sense.
I think that's kind of what they're going for, yeah.
Because he saw that everybody was about to touch the railing as it was being electrified. He acted beforehand, which is what the Spider sense is. It's kind of like a precognition. Yeah.
He also says, "It's my birthday. Time to light the candle."
That I didn't like. But I feel like his character probably thought that was a cool thing to say.
Sure. Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about. To your point about Spidey talking him down, it is a great moment for Spider-Man's character, I think. This is how Spider-Man approaches a scenario differently than like the police.
He's trying to be diplomatic about it.
Yeah, he's going to try to solve the problem first before resorting to violence, whereas the police are jumpity. They're immediately like,
he steps in a puddle,
drawn.
gets startled, then they shoot him.
Like,
yeah, that's gonna piss him off.
Well, I think he had already flipped a truck at that. No.
That was on accident though. It was about to hit him, and he went like, ah. So it's like, up to this point, he hasn't done anything wrong yet. Like, he's a little upset and unhinged and confused, which puts him in a very vulnerable spot. So I get that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, you watch a scene 2 times, and the second time you kind of see like, well, part of what is turning Max into Electro, like the supervillain, is that for a minute he sees that he's being seen. He gets put on every screen on Times Square.
And something about him likes it.
And he likes it. And now he's feeling the power going through him. And then they start painting him as a villain, and everybody starts bullying him.
Everybody starts like booing him, and then Spider-Man shows up on all the screens, and he gets like this like jealousy.
Right. I think that's a good idea. But again, you have to kind of watch.
I think it was done a little too quickly.
Obviously,
it was like like a switch flip.
It's not great, but I'm saying you have to see that scene twice in order to be like, oh, that's what they were going for. Because on the surface level, what it looks like is Spider-Man doesn't want to be my best friend. I'm a supervillain now.
Right. The scene has a lot of subtext, but it's like
it's kind of covered up by like the text, which is it's my birthday, time to light the candle.
Yeah, like this scene has so many good elements in it. I think the execution could have been better, but I overall did like the scene. I don't know, because maybe it's because I was reading into it while I was watching it, but I'm like, oh, this is like really interesting stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I think it could have been a little bit better. I think it was fumbled a little bit. Back home and frustrated, Peter sinks himself into solving the mystery of his missing parents and how to protect his web shooters from strong electrical charges. Meanwhile, Harry discovers his father's secret files and video of Norman Osborn working alongside Richard Parker and invites Peter to Oscorp. There he shows him that their experiments never made it to human trials, save for that Spider-Man somehow has all the abilities their research promised and must have been bitten by one of the spiders. He asks Peter to find him because he's photographed Spider-Man. Gwen runs a search on Max Dillon, which incites security to look for her. She and Peter hide in a broom closet where they kiss. I like that they were like, this is the most cliche place to hide. Yeah.
It's like they're obviously going to find you in here.
And that's what the movie did.
Yeah.
Is this meta commentary?
Was it lampshaded it?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Why would you immediately assume that he's like, oh, Spider-Man definitely got bit by one of our spiders?
Because he has the abilities of...
I guess, whatever.
That spider.
I thought it was a bit of a stretch. I
thought it was nice to actually see a character connect the dots for once.
I mean,
like, hey,
right.
Harry's not an idiot.
No. Well, At the Ravencroft Institute for the Criminally Insane, Dr. Ashley Kafka studies Electro. He named himself Electro, and pushes his limits. His powers include electricity manipulation, teleportation via electricity, and dubstep music generation. Bom, bom, bom. I only bring this up because how stupid that is, and like his like dubstep powers. Apparently, it's not powers. It's just like the soundtrack.
It's the soundtrack going along with his. They were being experimental. I kind of like it.
I hate it so much,
and I don't even like dubstep.
Also, I bring no. It's a form of like electric music, basically. So, yeah. If you don't know,
like Cable says in Deadpool 2, dubstep's for pussies.
I don't remember. I've only seen Deadpool 2 once, I think.
Oh, it's a good movie.
I know it's good. I liked it, but I need to watch it again. I also bring this up because in the comics, Dr. Kafka is female. Her name is Ashley.
And not a villain? Not a Nazi?
And not a villain, yes.
This guy was borderline like a Nazi.
He's like a German scientist.
And he's like, I want to torture you. Yeah.
And yeah, she's good. She's often an ally to Spider-Man. So it's interesting that they're like, let's make this guy Ashley Kafka. They should have just made him an original character. Like, why are you going to like...
Because they got to throw as many characters that they're allowed to use because that's what Sony does in their Spider-Man movies.
It's just such a weird thing when they're like, all right, we're going to gender swap this character and make him evil. At that point, then it's not the same character like at all. Like, it's just another scientist that works at Ravencroft. You know? So, anyway.
And also, like, Ravencroft is used a lot in these Sony movies, which I think...
What other movie is it in?
Venom 2.
Oh, yeah,
and,
they go to Venom.
And I guess the end of Venom 1. That's where Cletus is being held.
Times. Yeah, you're right. And in the credits, it says Ashley. They only call him Dr. or Dr. Kafka. Although Ashley can be a man's name, too.
It can. If you've ever seen Evil Dead, Ashley Williams, played by Bruce Campbell.
I know a couple, and they're both named Ashley.
They
got married.
Interesting.
So now they have the same first and last name. They have the same name.
That seems like a logistical nightmare.
Isn't that weird? You know, they do the whole, he has like...
It's like his voice.
He has an alter ego voice. He has a voice in his head. Like, as a lot of evil characters do. But it's singing to him. And it's with like dubstep music. It's just such a fucking choice.
Thing, though. It is. But there's something I like about it to where it's like... They're incorporating the score into the movie itself in like a way that I've never really seen done. Maybe for good reason, But I'm not mad that they tried it.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of that input was from Pharrell Williams, actually.
Probably. So it's scored by
multiple people.
Hans Zimmer. But Hans Zimmer, I think, pretty much just like... Because Hans Zimmer has like a lot of like acolytes, for lack of a better word. He does like groom a lot of other people to like put movies. And he will often collaborate with like a singer and just kind of like get, their input and kind of make some product based on both their things, right? And I think in this, it's Pharrell is listed as one of them.
Yeah, Pharrell's one of them. And this seems like a very like Pharrell thing.
Yeah.
I can't describe why, but I just feel it.
Because happy? Fuck. No, I don't like it at all. And I think it's Hans Zimmer just kind of, I think he really pretty much just kind of checked out. I think he's just like,
I'll let everybody else kind of do this, and
slaps his name on it. He probably gave a theme here and there.
But they even used the main theme from the last movie, though.
I didn't hear it at all.
It was there a little bit, like,
didn't hear it at all.
Mostly during like the Peter Parker parts, like with his parents and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Aunt May stumbles on Peter's conspiracy theory wall about his parents. He demands to know more about them, and she retorts how Peter was hers to raise, and she will continue to protect him from the truth, but ultimately gives in. She reveals that after the funeral, some government officials told her that Richard Parker's research was very valuable, and that he betrayed everyone to sell secrets.
Which doesn't make any sense for Richard Parker to do, and Peter immediately says this. He's like, that doesn't make sense.
Again, she's not very bright.
No, she's just an average...
But you know what?
An average New Yorker.
She loves hard, and she works hard.
Yes. She's a good person.
Again, a lot of, like, the real human stuff in these movies are really good.
They're so well done.
Anytime all this kind of, like, parenting things happen, she gets to go... Sally Field here goes on a whole thing and gets to act her heart out about she was dropped off this child, and she had to raise him from like when he was like 6 or 7 years old or whatever.
And she's like, you know what? Fuck it. You're my son.
Yeah. So fuck that guy. Why do you idolize this guy who left you here and didn't do anything else? That's totally fair. But at the same time, she refuses to sully that image that Peter has of his father.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because she cares about him that much.
Yeah. That's a great take, and that's a great scene. Earlier, there was a little bit of foreshadowing to this, because earlier when he in the graduation, he goes something like, "Oh, I wish my parents were here." She's like, "Yeah," and she kind of looks down, and it's a nice kind of like, "Oh, is there something?"
She doesn't like that they left Peter.
Yeah,
especially since the only reason she was given was that they were traitors. Like, as far as she knows, they were just bad people.
Yeah, for sure.
And Peter's like this wonderful like product of like terrible people, according to her.
Right. Spider-Man visits Harry and refuses to give him his blood. Harry and Felicia discover the venom from the spiders was preserved, and they discover the existence of secret projects. That's like the name, by the way, of like the thing.
It's a folder called Secret Projects.
Yeah.
And apparently it's like a floor on the building that nobody knows about.
Right. Before the evil Oscorp executive guy comes and frames him for trying to cover up Max Dillon's death, the very thing that he did with Harry's credentials. Harry goes to Ravencroft, incapacitates some guards, and sneaks in to find Electro. He makes a deal with Electro to work together and get Spider-Man, and to get Harry into Oscorp. So this is where there's that very Dr. Manhattan shot where he reproduces himself out of thin air.
Yes.
But he's wearing underwear.
It looks kind of cool when he does it, though.
It looks
threatening. It looks like Dr. Manhattan.
It looks like just like Dr. Manhattan.
This is also the scene with that special projects list, which is an Easter egg list, basically.
Oh, could you see the names on the computer?
Yeah, and I'm about to look up the image of them right now.
Okay. Well, and real quick, also, it's a weird table computer. And
it's very Tony Stark-esque.
If there's one thing, hold on, because if there's one thing I hate about these movies is how they portray their futuristic tech, because it's never practical at all. No. It's like the keypad that you have to like move the circles in a certain... Nobody would know how to use that, And then there's the computers that are holograms, and like Peter's just like, oh, and he just starts grabbing holograms like he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like, you've never seen it. You've only seen Sony Vaio computers, bro. You don't have any idea what this is.
That's not a QWERTY keyboard.
No. And then when he's using... I'm going on a whole rant. When he's using that glass table computer... First of all his computers are glass tables. His neck is craned down the whole time. And he knows how to drag things and stuff. I'm like, this is a UI you've never used. Don't fuck with me. Like, this is a bad design for a computer. Have I killed enough time for you to look up your thing?
I'm trying to find it. I know one of the things mentioned said Venom storage.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's your Venom.
There's the Venom. Ooh, I found a very clear image of it. Okay. On the right side, you see like just a bunch of things like exosuit prototype and stuff, but you also see something called Dr. Connor's file. You see something called Dr. Morbius file.
Oh.
And another one of the lists, you see Ravencroft. You see Venom Storage 7U. And then like a bunch of other stuff like plutonium and stuff like that. Prosthetics. Norman Osborn inbox.
Personal emails.
So it's like it's similar to like that list in X-Men 2.
Yeah.
That Mystique pulls up and it shows it for like a second, like a bunch of names.
Yeah. And we went and we looked up every single one of those characters. Yeah, I remember.
The only ones really worth noting though in this list is like Dr. Connors, that's the lizard, obviously.
Yeah.
Dr. Morbius. He has a movie coming out. Michael Morbius.
It's your friend, Michael Morbius.
He's the living vampire. So he has a bunch of vampire traits, but he's not dead. And then we have the Venom storage.
It's interesting that they had like Morbius plans that far back.
Yeah.
Well, especially, I mean, it's just an Easter egg, but I mean, especially when they're planning for like a Sinister Six movie.
It seemed like Sony was just planning on doing a bunch of villain movies after this.
Well, they have one hero and endless villains, basically.
Yeah. They could maybe pull 2 heroes out of it. They could turn Venom into a hero.
They could do some Black Cat stuff.
Some Black Cat stuff, yeah.
They recycled a lot of these pictures. Venom Storage 7U is here 3 times. They're just like, fuck it, copy paste.
Now, I guess the question could be asked is, are they talking about Venom, the symbiote? Or are they talking about the spider Venom?
Probably actually. That's a good point. Because it's a plot point in this movie that we just said it actually.
Yeah.
That the venom from the spiders was kept, but the spiders were killed because they had to comply with the lawsuit.
Venom storage could literally be what Harry's actually looking for.
Yeah, it's an actual plot point. Yeah, it's in the movie. It's not really an Easter egg at that point.
But also, a lot of people did see it as an Easter egg.
That's a stretch, I think. If it was like symbiote, I'd get it.
Yeah, or something like that.
Symbiote.
Symbiote. What's the actual correct
It's symbiote, but you know that they redubbed over it when the movie came out because the trailers was symbiote. And everyone got mad. And then I got confused because now I don't remember which is which, but it's symbiote.
It's symbiote because that's what I heard in the cartoon when I was a kid.
Yeah. Symbiosis. Symbiote. Oh, fuck it.
Science.
We're not talking about Venom. I like that both Harry and Electro were like, I had a friend once, didn't work out, and he was like, yeah, me too. They're talking about the same person.
Talking about the same guy. Oh, man. Peter fucked both these guys over.
But that's such a Spider-Man thing. Or one of these guys is mad at Peter, the other one is mad at Spider-Man. They're like, yeah, we're teaming up to get Spider-Man.
Well, they're both mad at Spider-Man in this case, I guess. Because neither of them know he's Peter.
He's also mad at Peter.
Well, he's mad at Peter because Peter was...
He doesn't consider himself friends with Spider-Man. That'd be weird.
True. Oh, yeah, I guess he's mad at Peter because Peter was kind of like being like evasive. Harry's a little bit unhinged here, though, obviously.
He's getting there,
He overreacts.
Yeah.
But also, is it kind of a dick move for Spider-Man to literally come into your house, sit down next to you and go, I'm not going to give you my blood, and then stand up and leave?
I think he was just trying to break it to him, but that's Peter talking. You know?
Yeah. A lot of this movie is miscommunication.
Peter makes a fool of himself at Gwen's Oxford interview and finds more of his dad's secret stuff. He finds the abandoned subway station he suspects his dad was frequenting and enters one of his super secret coins. A secret train car comes out of a secret door under the tracks to reveal Richard Parker's secret lab. He plays the video diary his dad recorded at the beginning of the movie. During hide and seek, you remember?
Yeah.
He says that Oscorp was being funded by a foreign military organization to weaponize his research. Norman Osborn falsified evidence that had them targeted and killed. But the big revelation is that Richard implanted his own DNA into the spiders, and therefore they won't work without his bloodline.
So this is probably the one scene that kind of makes the movie start to fall apart.
This is...
It's too much.
It's so void of subtlety. Because why the fuck... Okay, for you to have built a secret lab underground that just comes up motorized, you would need a teams of people to do that. You can't just do that on yourself by yourself. Yeah. And not only that, this recycles another thing from the previous movie where Connors has a secret lab in the subway.
Was that a thing that they worked on? I think it was a sewer. It was a sewer.
But they were friends. Why do they both have secret labs underground in different places?
Studying different things.
Yes. So mostly.
They're still studying like human-animal hybrids.
You're already in a secret place. Why do you need another secret thing? Like, it could have just been a closet. You know what I mean? And that would have been more realistic if it's like, yeah, his lab is just in like this closet in an abandoned subway station. No one's ever going to find that. It's a fucking train car that's underground, which is already underground. And the whole floor goes, meh, and then the car goes up, meh, and then like...
It kind of reminds me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they find that abandoned subway station.
Yeah, but they don't motorize an entire
No, they just find it.
That's off the rails right there. There's a ton of Kurtzman Orsi bullshit.
No, it was under the rails.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. How could I be so stupid? This is full of Kurtzman and Orsi bullshit also. Which this movie is written by Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi. And if you're a fan of this podcast, you know that we don't like these people.
No, they do a lot of dumb things.
Like this one. This is our third movie with them writing, I think. It was Zorro and Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens, yep.
Yeah. And it's the same bullshit every time. They write big set pieces, things that make you feel like, oh, that's a good movie, and then they work their way backwards.
Yeah, because the way the scene is filmed and stuff, it looks really cool.
It makes you excited. And
then it's intriguing.
Yes, but if you think about it for more than a second, you're like, what? Why is any of this in this movie?
Yeah.
You know? The other thing I kind of hate, first of all, magic blood, which is a thing that they're obsessed with. Also, they're obsessed with false flag operations and conspiracy theories. We're going to get to it.
And the Chosen One.
Is that a thing they're into?
I don't know.
What's that? Or are you just saying that?
I'm just saying, because this does, like, Peter is literally the only person that could become Spider-Man.
That's the other thing. Is kind of like he's been predetermined to do this. But that's at odds with Spider-Man the character.
Right.
And also Marvel. Like, most Marvel heroes aren't like predetermined or destined. Destiny's like not a thing for most Marvel characters.
Well, they try to make it a thing, but
Marvel characters stumble upon their powers and then are burdened with responsibility. Like, that's what makes the Marvel universe different than the DC universe. Like, they're not chosen, they're not special, you know, except for like Captain America. But even Captain America, it's mostly like an accident.
I mean, he was chosen by people.
Yeah, okay, sure. But I'm saying, like...
But not, like, chosen by destiny to be Captain America and end the war.
That's how it happened. And then he is ultimately burdened with this responsibility because he will do the right thing forever. Yeah. Peter Parker's burdened by his responsibility because he has his uncle's death on his shoulders.
Yep.
You know? And he has this power. And he's like, I have to do something with it. And for them to say, no, you're Spider-Man because you're predetermined to be Spider-Man. This is your destiny. That isn't what Spider-Man is.
Also, it's kind of a letdown with all the buildup we've had with what his parents were up to, you know?
I mean, you think...
It just kind of ends up being like, so Oscorp's bad, and I kind of sabotaged their project, and I ran away. This is just a very convoluted way of communicating that.
It's bad communication. Philly J says, isn't this also based on the President's Underground train car that is in almost every movie based in New York, and people literally go underground?
I think he literally Googles that in the movie.
Yes, there is one or two train stations that are abandoned, but they get kept up because they're like tourist attractions. And basically, you can get on the train and it'll stop there. You can't get out, but you can like look at it, take pictures, and then it keeps going again.
Okay.
And we're gonna get to this in the analysis, but like I just feel like this movie is mostly about Peter Parker being a detective. And it's not really about Spider-Man that much.
No, he's not in the suit that much this movie.
He's got very little screen time.
Yeah.
And I want to get to that.
But also, like, thank God Andrew Garfield's a good actor. Otherwise, this movie would be a lot worse.
Or fall apart.
This movie would have fallen apart.
Just derailed more than that car.
It's almost like they tried to get Spider-Man to Batman his way through a movie. He's more of a detective in this movie than Batman is in his own movies, actually.
Yeah. Peter receives a voicemail from Gwen, who tells him she got into Oxford and is already leaving for England to take a summer class and to cut their relationship off faster. Meanwhile, Harry and Electro, in a dashing new villain suit, break into Oscorp. Harry has the evil executive take him to special projects to find the spider venom. He injects himself with it, and it has an adverse reaction, transforming him into the Green Goblin. He crawls his way to the mech suit and the glider he saw earlier on his table computer that can heal the writer. Here's something I really like. I like when Electro goes to the outlet and then he kind of like closes the flap.
Very polite of him.
Well, he knows the importance of not getting these outlets wet.
Actually, yeah, he does. He's an electrical engineer, so he understands that.
Yeah, so he's like, bloop.
Also, like how Harry's like, yeah, the grid's yours now. Harry's a very honorable guy.
He's also not concerned at all what this fucker's going to do with the electrical grid.
No, he's very like driven by like a single purpose right now.
So does the suit solve all his problems? Like
I guess it does, but like, is he gonna stay in the suit 24/7?
Or does it do kind of similar to what we kind of mentioned it earlier, where like, does Norman wear the suit? Does it help
Prolong your life?
Does it work together with like, what they said is it has nervous system interaction.
True, and like
integration.
Their disease seems to like affect their nervous system because like he can't even like keep his hand steady. The venom seemed to work for like a second.
Yeah, and then like you basically need to be Peter Parker.
Yeah,
you need his blood.
So it's Richard Parker's fault that Harry became the Goblin.
Pretty much.
Fucking Richard.
Also, there's just something disingenuous about having like the Goblin origin just kind of laid out for him. You know, like he's just like, I got the disease. I'm gonna get the thing. Now I'm crazy, and I'm the Green Goblin.
The Raimi movie didn't do it much better.
And here's the thing. No, but it's like his dad just kind of like laid it out all for him.
Yeah.
To like become the Green Goblin.
He didn't like earn it, I guess. Which
but it's
becoming a villain something you earn?
Well, no, but I'm saying like it's very similar to like all the other villains that Oscorp is trying to create. It's like, and thankfully we didn't see it, but like what if Doc Ock was just kind of like, hey, here's your tentacles. Have fun.
You see his arms?
That's my point.
They're already made. They're already there
made for him. He didn't do it. So all these origins are completely nullified. It's just kind of like, take your starter pack. Go on.
Yeah.
Here's your Doc Ock starter pack.
And that's one of the things I was saying earlier. It makes this universe also feel very small. Because everything comes from Oscorp.
Yeah. Again, Green Goblin, he just picked up his starter pack. He's like, all right, I'm going to wear my suit, got my glider, got my pumpkin bombs.
We're good to go. And
why
now I'm just going to start laughing.
And now pumpkin bombs, it's kind of like, why would they invent that for the military?
I mean,
it's pumpkin bomb.
Again, they did that in the Raimi movies too.
But I thought he invented the pumpkin bombs like afterwards, where he was already kind of going crazy.
I know they already had the glider. They already had the missiles. The pumpkin bombs.
Well, they didn't have the helmet. He created that.
He did.
He was going crazy.
It was
already.
just the suit.
He based the helmet off those fucking masks that he had.
Those African masks.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
webs an "I love you" message on the Brooklyn Bridge for Gwen and sweeps her away, literally. Atop the Manhattan Bridge, he declares more love to her and says that they are not on different paths, but the same path. He wants to go to London with her and just fight crimes there. From there, they see the power grid completely go out, and Electro materializes himself at the Oscorp power plant. They quickly magnetize his web shooters, and Gwen demands to go with him to restart the grid, but he webs her in place.
So we have another example of Gwen actually helping out Peter with fighting the bad guy here. The whole magnetism thing.
It was so stupid.
It's stupid, but also so like dumb. It was something that she provided to him that helped him in the fight. Okay.
You also could have just taken it out of the movie and it wouldn't make any difference. It takes up about a minute and a half of screen time altogether. Like from when, his first web shooter gets electrocuted. We get more
Peter and Gwen interacting, and that's always a good thing.
But it's super rushed. I feel like it's in the script, we got to do it, but like they're like, hey, we need jumper cables on the car. Cool, boom, done, go.
No, the whole third act is pretty rushed. Which is weird because this whole movie spent so much time building stuff up, and it's like, all right, we got to finish it now.
Yes. And I think, while I was watching the movie, I'm like, this is a long first act. Like, we're setting a lot of plot threads. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, when do they start moving? And I'm like, it's 30 plus minutes into the movie. Then the second act is like even longer. It's like,
and then you get to the third act. It's like, all right, checklist.
Well, yeah. What do we got to wrap up? Come on, like, quick, let's move. You could use your 2 hours and 20 minutes way better, I think.
Yeah.
I paid close attention to which bridges they were on for purposes of this podcast. I don't want to get any of them wrong.
Oh, nice.
It's the Brooklyn Bridge and then the Manhattan Bridge.
Okay.
Right next to each other.
What bridge are they fighting on in the No Way Home trailer?
I don't know. There's not enough footage. I don't think. That, for New Yorkers, there's probably enough footage.
They probably know, like, just first glance.
But I don't look into that. Electro and Spider-Man fight their way to the plant. Magnetizing his web shooters protects them from exploding, so it works. Electro warps from tower to tower, playing the itsy bitsy spider.
I liked that.
No, shut the fuck
I
up. Are you
liked
kidding? I
liked that.
No.
I liked it.
God damn it. I thought this was where you're going to be like, yeah, they went too far. Dude, are you serious?
I liked it.
He's literally playing the itsy bitsy spider.
He's taunting Spider-Man.
Oh my god. Okay, this might be one of the
Willem
dumbest.
Dafoe literally sings the Itsy Bitsy Spider.
That's a normal thing to do, sing a song. You don't just like play music for someone in the middle of a fight.
He's fucking with him. I liked it.
Oh my god. I think this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a movie, period. Like, period.
That's a bit far.
I hated this so much. Why does he have to be a music-centric villain is all I'm saying. It's a lie.
Why not? How often do we get that? We don't.
It's
something different.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I know I'm in the minority here, though. So
I thought we'd be on the same page.
No, I told you I don't hate this movie.
Gwen shows up just in the nick of time and hits Electro with a car. Peter freaks out because Gwen has purposefully put herself in a dangerous Spider-Man environment. She screams at him that it's her choice to be there, just as it's her choice to be with him. He sees Captain Stacy again. So, first of all, even if you don't know what's going to happen, you know what's going to happen at this point.
Yes, especially like how freaked out he is that she's there.
It's a lot. The foreshadowing is just it's pretty heavy.
Even in his Spidey suit, though, his acting there was great. He's like, no, you cannot be here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. What do you think about Gwen's dilemma here? That she's like, this is my choice, and it's mine to make. And you can't tell me not to be.
She has every right to.
Do you think she's right, or do you think Peter's right, and by extension, Captain Stacy is right?
Well,
and we talked about this last week, too.
Well, let's see. If she wasn't there, Spider-Man would be dead.
Yeah, but it's only because the script says so. You know?
he was not going to beat him. Spider-Man didn't have him on the ropes. Electro was kicking his ass. That's the thing. Electro is actually very powerful in this movie. Does he use his power to his full extent? No. But he is very powerful. And Spider-Man was losing.
I think that's just because the script says so. Like, I don't think...
Also...
So, like, I mean, thinking about the magnetism bit, it's just a bit for Gwen Stacy to be like, I remember this thing that you didn't remember from class that we both took together. That's why I'm the valedictorian and you're not. And, like... You could have just as easily... You could have just as believably written that to be like, oh, he thought of that. You know what I'm saying? So It's just kind of like, what really is she doing? That's not the point. The point is it his responsibility to keep her away from danger when she is choosing to be there?
That is a bit of a dilemma. Because it's like, yeah, she has every right to choose to go there.
Yeah.
He has every right to be against that.
But
he can't force her to leave.
Yeah. And, I mean, we said this in the last movie because he implies that, like, he's going to break his promise to her dad. And even she said it. She's like, he doesn't have the right to tell you we can't be together.
Right.
Like, my dad made you do this, right? Like, she says so.
No, he has every good intention, but that doesn't mean he's in the right. He can have good intentions.
You mean the dad?
Still, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was like, Spider-Man?
Well, maybe to a certain extent as well, at first.
Yeah, I think it is noble of Captain Stacy, but, like, he doesn't have the right to control his daughter like that. And if she wants to be in a relationship with a dangerous man... Also, she knows he's Spider-Man. It's not like in the comics where she doesn't know that he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She knows he's Spider-Man. She knows exactly what she's getting into.
I think it gives her a little bit more dignity.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It modernizes the story a lot more, for sure. But
because she's doing what she thinks she has to do.
Exactly.
And that's fine. Like, there's going to be consequences for it, but...
But he's also... Yeah, here's the thing, though. Spider-Man's right, too. It's like...
They're both right.
You're vulnerable. Like, you're not superpowered.
Yeah.
And not in this universe. So, like, I mean, it's great that you want to help. But if shit goes down, there's a small likelihood that I'm going to die. There's a high likelihood that you will die.
No, they're both right. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I like this whole dilemma and this whole situation. Because it's like... She's like, I can help and I'm going to. And he's like, you're probably going to die if you do.
Yeah.
So he wants to protect her. She's already made it clear that she doesn't need protecting, though. Or she doesn't feel like she does.
Does, because she's a regular human.
She does, but she doesn't want it.
Okay, and I know a lot of that's kind of like, because she's empowered, strong, and yada yada. But she's also a regular fucking human being. She's flesh and bone. She's a sack of meat. And Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
He's also a sack of meat.
No, he's a strong sack of meat. He's not just a sack of meat. Okay, she resets the breaker to overcharge Electro as Spider-Man reassembles the broken line. Oh, and 2 planes almost crash, and all flight control can do is count down until the power comes back on. The planes narrowly miss. What a stupid, silly thing to put in a movie.
This reminds me of a plot point in, like a subplot. Was it in BVS?
It all sounds very familiar, actually.
Right? Like something like this happened in another movie. And then we also have like Aunt May in the hospital with the power out. That is actually a real issue that would happen if there was no power.
Yeah, the hospital. Yeah, for sure.
Well, the plane thing too, but like...
Then Jay says, just once I want to see the planes crash and the hero fails. That'd be funny. But I love that they're just like, all right, get a timer right now. And they're just like, all right, now what do we do? We're going to count down that timer until the planes crash.
It was unnecessary. It was just adding more drama to
real
something
life,
that was already pretty dramatic.
They would 100% have like battery backups for their radios.
Yes.
This is so dumb. I would have rather spent more time in the hospital with Aunt May because all that gets cut up so much. You just see kind of Aunt May running around. You see snippets of
Aunt May running around, and then the power turns on. She's like, we did it.
Yeah, I would rather all the drama be at the hospital.
Well, yeah, because one, that would have been more dramatic.
Yeah, have like patients,
and two, it would have been relevant.
Yeah, having like patients like almost dying, and then they're like saving them and getting battery backups and stuff like that. The plane thing was way over the top, especially since like they narrowly miss. Also, like planes go into landing strips in the same direction, so that this doesn't happen. They're never going to be like coming head to head. You know what I mean?
Right. Unless somebody just went way off course.
And someone's like, I'm going to do a U-turn, which, like, they also don't do.
No, like, there's specific maneuvers they're supposed to do in certain situations.
Yeah. To avoid this from happening.
If you're not hearing anything from the airport, one, you're not going to go in for a landing.
You don't go in the area.
Yeah. Until you hear something or until you need to make an emergency landing because you're running out of fuel.
So the sky is just so big. Like, the odds of, like... 2 planes coming into
each other. That's the same thing with like two ships.
It's happened
How
like
often do 2 ships crash into each other?
I think it's happened one time that 2 planes just like crash. Anyway, it was silly. Let's move on. All seems well until a sinister laugh shows up. It's Harry as the Green Goblin. He sees Spider-Man and Gwen and deduces that Spider-Man is Peter. Furious at Spider-Man for denying his blood and taking away his hope, he takes Gwen and flies up out of Spider-Man's reach. Spider-Man pleads with him to let her go, and they fall inside a clock tower. Goblin drops a pumpkin bomb, the 2 fight and become intertwined in clock gears. A gear cuts a web holding Gwen and she falls. In bullet time, Spider-Man shoots webbing to grab her and pulls back, but he stops her an inch too late. Her head smacks against the concrete floor. He holds her lifeless body in his arms and cries.
This scene is great. I don't know how people feel about like Goblin showing up, because I know some people think, oh, too many villains and stuff, but if they were just introducing Goblin as a villain and this was its introduction, honestly, what a way to do it. Like, it's a good way to set him up to be a villain to Spider-Man.
A couple things. I think introducing a villain in this way only works if he's going to be the primary villain in the next movie. In fairness, that's what they were setting up. Right? So there's that.
So I think that would have been really good because there was a lot of... Like, he definitely had a presence in the little bit of screen time he had.
Yeah. The other thing is, this whole movie, he's the main villain. It's not Electro. Electro's like a side villain that's marketed as the main villain, but the main villain is Harry.
Yeah.
And I totally think Harry going down the hole he goes is earned because they spend a lot of time, maybe too much time on him in this whole thing.
And he gets screwed over a lot.
Yeah. In that regard, yeah. It's a good intro for him. I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, where the fuck did the Green Goblin come from? I remember thinking, like, this is too fast, too rushed, too much, but, like, I'm okay with it.
I don't think it was as bad as Venom in Spider-Man 3.
I think it's similar in that, like, he's introduced late, but he has the, I was just saying, he has the proper build-up, you know? Because he's in this movie a lot.
And also, like, they didn't kill off Green Goblin here. This was basically his introduction.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they had killed him off, I'm like, well, this is a complete waste of the character. Yeah. Complete waste.
I think it was meant to be an introduction to the next movie. Like, hey, this is your next villain. Mm-hmm. Here's a little preview of what he's like. And he's fucking bad. He's terrible. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
No, I completely agree with you.
I don't like the way he looks. He just looks like a sick guy.
The thing is, it's like, Green Goblin's a character that's hard to do. Because
you risk being either really silly or really like over the top.
Because like in the comics, he wears a mask, but the mask is just drawn as like a goblin. Like
Yeah.
this is what he looks like, a creature, but like it's the mask. But in real life, you could never wear a mask that would be that realistic looking. And we've said this, they tried it in the first Spider-Man movie.
And there was a lot of issues.
Yeah, and there's...
Which is why they gave him the
realistically
motorcycle
speaking, why
helmet.
would you do that? So he's got the motorcycle helmet, which kind of in the real world works a little bit better, even though it's like not the comic. And in this, they're like, all right, well, he's diseased. And
So
he's
we'll make
all
him just kind of look
green.
like a goblin.
Yeah.
I get that. I just think they could have done a better job with how it looked.
No, I think he looks dumb as shit.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. He felt very threatening.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm conflicted on how I feel about this iteration of the Green Goblin.
I'm with you there. I think this scene would work a lot better if they hadn't had so much shit on the screen. At one point, you can't see her falling because there's a bunch of like CGI gears
There's
in
too
the way.
many gears in the way.
There's too much shit on me. I think you should have got rid of all of that and just had a little debris and mostly just have like the empty space and Gwen falling. I think that would have worked really well.
Yeah.
Her dying is just so visceral. Like you feel it.
Yes, and
I hated it. When I saw it the first time, I was like, this is way too much.
it's like a gut punch.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like it feels too real.
It almost should be. I'm surprised this is not like a rated R thing. Because her head cracks on the concrete.
That's the thing, though, and it's Philly's talking about it right now in the chat. In the comics, when she's falling from a great height, he catches her with the web and her neck breaks.
Yeah.
In this one, it's kind of ambiguous as to whether her head actually hits the ground or if her neck just...
You see it hit the ground.
Do you?
If it was a rated R movie, there'd be blood. But you fucking see it, like, smack the ground. Like, just barely, but obviously enough to kill her.
Yeah, her brain's mush.
What you were getting into is, in the comic, he catches her. She falls off the bridge, but they couldn't do that again because they did that with Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Instead of...
and it's Green Goblin that throws her off the bridge.
Exactly.
He catches her, but the way he catches
Spider-Man.
her was not the proper way to catch somebody that's falling.
He does it the same exact way, and her neck cracks.
Yeah.
People were angry when this happened because they wrote in, and they're like, "You telling me that Spider-Man killed Gwen Stacy?" And they're like, "No." They like backpedal. They're like, "She was already dead when she fell."
Spider-Man killed her.
But then later they like, I think
And
years
Spider-Man
later,
feels guilty about it.
Yeah.
Still currently in the
Well,
comics.
what's what I'm saying? At the time, they denied it, and in the comic,
You see it happen.
they say that it was the whiplash of him catching her, and then later on they confirm it again. They're like,
Yeah.
no, Spider-Man basically killed her. But the dilemma is, like, is it his fault for accidentally killing her while trying to save her from certain death? Or she's
Right.
like, in each scenario, she's just gonna die anyway.
I think the only part it's his fault is that he could have saved her if he caught her a different way. And I think even in the comics and stuff, he starts catching people like different ways, like by the wrist or like by the,
Yeah.
not directly on the chest where your whole body's going to go like that.
I mean, when you have like, he has a split second to react.
And I get that. And that's probably what happened in the comic
I think
too.
I would have rathered the neck crack, honestly, because just seeing like her head like hit the concrete like that,
It hurts.
oh my God, it just makes me so uncomfortable. The scene makes me so uncomfortable. And yes, that is a good thing in a movie. It did its job. But like, I don't know. I want my Spider-Man movie to be a little bit more fun. And this is not enjoyable at
It's like the
all.
movie started off very light and
It got real
kind of
dark real
whimsical.
quick,
and
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, remember when I was talking about weight? Yeah, there's weight right here's a lot of it because you fucking feel it when she hits the
Yeah.
concrete. That's
Oh, and the whole sequence where like he's desperately trying to hold up, like stop the web from getting snapped into gear.
oh, he's holding it with his foot and stuff.
Yeah, like he's like you can feel the desperation that
The thing is, like, man, maybe I wasn't paying attention because I was typing this stuff. Like, I just didn't see the mechanisms. Like, I didn't understand why he was holding the gears in place like that. I might have not been paying attention.
it's a clock and it was moving, and when the gear moves, it would snap whatever's in it. The web was caught
I
in
didn't
the gear.
see that part. It wasn't paying
So
attention.
the gear snapped the web because he couldn't hold. I remember when I saw this in theaters, though, I was feeling kind of emotional about it. I felt like I got punched in the gut when I saw that.
I mean, me too, but I just remember being kind of angry at the movie for the decisions that it took. And I get it. You know, like Gwen Stacy, like, what is her impact on comics?
it's dying.
Nothing until she dies. Like, that's it. She's a character that was killed. And in her death has more impact on comics, not just Spider-Man, all comics than her life ever did.
Same with Uncle Ben.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, there used to be a phrase that said in comics, it's like,
nobody stays dead except
for Uncle Ben
and Gwen Stacy.
No, it wasn't Gwen
and
Stacy.
Batman's parents.
No. It's Uncle Ben, Jason Todd, and Bucky Barnes. That's how it used to go.
Now it's just Uncle Ben.
Now it's just Uncle Ben because Bucky Barnes and Jason Todd were both brought back.
It took him a really long time to actually bring Gwen Stacy back, for real though.
Well, I mean,
to be fair,
they brought her back she was a clone a few years later. That was 5 years later.
Is that bringing her back if it's not her? Because they even oh yeah, I'm not Gwen Stacy, and then she fucks off.
Yeah, what I'm saying is when she is introduced into this movie, you should know she's gonna die, point blank. Yeah. It's over. You know what I mean? So.
And I knew it going into this movie that was probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
And as soon as she fell, I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah, and again, there was enough foreshadowing where even if you didn't know what was gonna happen, you know what's gonna happen.
Well, yeah, when you started seeing her dad everywhere, I was like, she's gonna die in this movie.
Yeah.
But a lot of that was from comic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody going in blind, I'm sure at least up until that last time where he saw Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't quite know, but at that point they're like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, probably.
What do you think for No Way Home? My instinct is they're gonna show up at the third act, they're gonna do some fighting, and then that's gonna be it. But I think they should show up a little bit earlier in the movie. Not too much, just a little bit, so that they can have some character moments
together.
Yes. The three Spider-Men. Because I think a lot of this needs to be wrapped up. Both of these guys have had universes where they were basically canceled for them. You know what I mean? They were Phantom Zone before they could ever wrap things up.
Yeah, because there was supposed to be a Spider-Man 4 and 5 and 6, apparently.
Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be 10 more Amazing Spider-Man movies.
And spin-offs.
But that's what I mean.
This was supposed to be Sony's big universe.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be really poignant to have a scene where, maybe Tom Holland's this is the hardest thing I have to do. And the other guys are here's the hardest thing I ever had to do. And they at least tell you things. Just, you don't see it.
Or even some closure on these universes.
Yes, just to provide closure on some of these universes.
Yeah.
Where maybe Andrew Garfield's I lost someone. I lost Gwen Stacy. Characters that one of them sort of knows and the one never met. And he's and this is what I did after that. Blah, blah, blah. And then I found my parents. And then yada, yada. And then maybe that, just little things to kind of let us know.
Sinister Six.
Yeah. He's I've actually fought the Sinister Six before.
I fought Green Goblin.
They all look different except Lizard. But they were all there, and then Toby says something about MJ and I don't know, blah, blah, blah.
I slapped her once.
My point is I really want them to sort of wrap this up in a scene. You don't need a whole lot, but just acknowledge it in some way,
Yeah.
Especially here with Gwen Stacy dying. Peter Parker visits her grave every day as the seasons pass. He replays her valedictorian speech he missed. She talks about hope and holding it tightly. In a deleted scene, Richard Parker shows up at the cemetery and reveals to Peter that he's alive. He tells him that it seems Peter was destined to find his work and become Spider-Man, and that with great power comes great responsibility.
That deleted scene was actually really good, and I think they should have kept it in the movie.
I'm torn on this one because at first I was yeah, because it's in the graveyard scene.
Yeah.
So if you put Richard Parker there, that revelation completely diminishes
the placement.
Gwen Stacy's
may not be
death.
Great. Seeing the scene by itself, though, was kind of powerful.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And you all, if you're listening to this, go out. I'll link it below. I'm going to link the YouTube scene of this deleted scene where he finally discovers that his dad's alive.
The acting's incredible from Andrew Garfield here.
It's fantastic.
He's angry and screaming at him and stuff.
Yeah, they both do really well.
Yeah.
But I get that the scene is supposed to be him mourning Gwen Stacy. And if you put something else big in this scene, then it kind of detracts from that. You know? I feel like the dad scene should have been in here. Maybe separate the two a little bit.
It could have been a post-credit scene.
It'd be the longest post-credit scene ever. Be 3 minutes.
Have him going back and visiting Gwen's grave.
Yeah.
And then this happens.
That'd be nice. There's also a post-credit scene that they put into the end of the movie. There's no post-credit scene.
Right. But because I guess they didn't think people would stay after the credits.
Yeah. Which I'm about to read right now. But no, because it sets up the end of the movie, which is the Rhino fight.
The Rhino fight and Spider-Man
Which you don't...
getting back in it.
Yeah, which, exactly. You only need it so that the movie ends on a high note.
Yeah, and honestly, Spider-Man has a good interaction with the kid in that scene.
Yeah. I think the other reason they cut this scene is because they're like, this would be a good thing to put into Amazing Spider-Man 3. But again, we never got that movie.
Yeah.
So for closure's sake, go watch this
For
scene.
closure's sake, this is a great scene.
Like, watch this scene and you're going to feel like, okay, at least we can kind of put the whole dad conspiracy to bed, right?
Yes.
We don't have to milk another movie's worth, which is probably where they're like, you know what, this scene is nice, but we can turn this whole scene into a movie. That's probably what they were thinking. I also like that her speech changes to whatever the story needs to be said.
It started off the same.
Did it? Because in the first time we hear it, I
Maybe
understand...
it's a different part of the speech.
Exactly. Yeah. I understand that there is different parts of the speech, but at first she's talking about, like, you know, life is short or whatever. Yeah, your life is short. You're about to die in 2 hours. Meanwhile, here she's like, hope, and hope is so important. Hold on to hope because that's what Spider-Man represents and yada yada, right?
And Peter Parker likes to think that Spider-Man gives people hope that things will be all right someday.
Exactly. But maybe he takes away his people's
yellow
hope.
card song.
Hold on. Have the Sinister Six been confirmed yet? Lizard, Goblin, Sandman, Electro, Doc Ock, I don't know the six. A friend told me it's Tom Hardy Venom, but that doesn't sound realistic.
It could be.
Well, if you saw the end of Venom 2,
It's possible.
there's a post-credits, and spoiler alert, he's basically in this universe now. He got transported. So
It's also the only important scene in that entire movie.
yes. So if you were to do that post-credit scene and then not put Venom in this movie, then why'd you do that post-credit scene? I feel there's a 99% chance that Venom is in the movie. Now, whether he's one of the Sinister Six, who knows?
Because
it's also a Sinister 4 because
let's
Doc
not
Ock is
forget
already
the
out of
Scorpion
it.
exists in the MCU.
Yeah, Scorpion's going to show up and the fans are going to go wild.
I'm really holding out for Scorpion.
At Ravencroft.
Oh, yeah, Vulture too. Or Morbius.
It's your friend, Michael Morbius. At Ravencroft. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, what if it's Ghost Rider?
Shut the fuck up.
Spider-Man becomes Ghost Rider. He becomes Ghost Spider.
Okay. This is the part I was going to cut out, too, because I was like, that's tangentially related.
Nope.
Now I have to leave it in because you said Ghost
thank
Rider.
God.
At Ravencroft, Mr. Fierce, a.k.a. the Gentleman, meets with Harry, who tells him where in Oscorp to find all the villain starter packs he needs to form the Sinister Six, including Vulture's wings, Doc Ock's arms, and Rhino's mech suit. They break out insane Paul Giamatti and give him the Rhino mech suit, who engages the police in a shootout. An onlooker's little boy dressed as Spider-Man tries to stand up to Rhino before Spider-Man appears, coming out of hiatus.
So I think the fight's stupid, and the fact that everybody's standing as a crowd watching it like it's an event is stupid.
Yes! Why are they all just sitting there? This guy's got tons of machine guns and rocket launchers, and everyone's like, ooh, what's going to happen next? Like it's a fucking parade. Yeah.
But I fucking love his interaction with the kid.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's so, good. But
yeah, it's good.
It's such a good interaction, but it was also so forced to happen.
Absolutely.
Like,
again, they had this on paper. They're like, we gotta put a little kid Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man shows up. Also, Iron Man 2 did it, but whatever.
Peter Parker was Iron Man.
That's true. Retcon. But, and then they work their way backwards. You know, they're like, all right, how do we get there?
How do we make that happen? Because that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And then they kind of forced it to happen in a kind of dumb way.
I don't like this scene at all.
I like the idea of the scene, though, and I like the way the scene makes me feel.
Cool, but it doesn't work. I don't think it works.
No, it's also very forced.
Again, all the iconic Spider-Man villains just have starter packs.
He's given the Rhino suit, yeah.
So just like, here, grab a starter pack. You can be Doc. You want to be Doc Ock? You can be Doc Ock. Here are the fucking arms.
Is your name Otto? Octavius? These arms are for you.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was the next movie going to be? Like, they just go downstairs, find Otto Octavius, who's just another scientist, and they're like, here you go.
He's been experimenting on the octopus.
Yeah. Then they go a floor lower, and they find another scientist, and they're like, I guess you're the Vulture. Because they're all scientists.
You really like birds, don't you?
They're all scientists, right?
What about Scorpion? Hey, you really like scorpions, right?
He got bit by
Have you ever wanted to be
a
scorpion? Scorpions are great.
The thing about scorpions is that they're apex predators. You can't even catch scorpions.
Yeah. How do you kill a scorpion? Well, you have to catch one first.
God.
All right. I have a jar. Like,
Yeah. We're talking about the lizard, by the way.
why do you want to catch a lizard? Lizards are beautiful.
Fucking love lizards. All right, that's the movie.
That is the movie. Oh, and then we get an Alicia Keys song written specifically for the movie that feels a little out of place.
Was that for the credits?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
But it was also written specifically for the movie, so it's weird that it feels out of place.
You know what happened when the credits rolled? I hit fast forward to the end to see if there's post credits, and I
always listen to whatever songs
here.
they play in the credits. Sometimes you find some gems.
All right, analysis. Where do you want to start? Overall thoughts. Let's do overall.
This movie's messy. That's for damn sure. I don't hate it, though. It doesn't anger me in any way. Even on my rewatch when I was watching it, the entire time I was like intrigued and kind of like glued to the screen. So it did its job in that sense for me. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot I don't like about this movie.
Yeah.
But there's certain things about how the movie made me feel and stuff that I can't hate it. It's very hard to explain.
Well, maybe it's because it's based on Spider-Man, first of all.
I do love Spider-Man, but like even I can recognize hey, this movie, I wouldn't call it a good movie. Now, is it the worst superhero movie ever? No. Is it the worst Spider-Man movie ever? I would even say no. I think Spider-Man 3 holds that title.
This movie has the Kurtzman and Orsi effect, which is as soon as it's over, I was like, that's not that bad.
And like, then you thought about it.
And then I thought about it, yeah.
See,
and then I was like,
there was only a few parts where when I thought about it, I didn't like, and that was mostly just the train shit, the underground train shit, conspiracy stuff. Oh, and how Harry just didn't fucking listen to Peter and kind of forced himself to become the bad guy. Like, he wasn't being rational.
Yeah.
Which a lot of this movie's plot relied on people being irrational. But, like, overall, like, I'm not mad at this movie for existing or anything like that. And I don't know. I can't call this movie, like, terrible. I think it's more of a black sheep.
I think I like half of it, you know. And the thing is, and I'm thinking about it, talking about the writers here, again, these are weird dudes. They're 9/11 truthers, right? So, like, they're obsessed with, like, false flag operations, secret groups of people looking for world domination. They're also into magic blood, which is a thing in several of their movies. It's not just this one. It's
Star
Trek. There's magic blood in there. It's just like weird things that they feel the need to insert into all their films. It almost feels like they're all a little too similar. You know, like Zorro had like that secret society trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
And
it's like on paper, that's not a terrible thing, but the execution is almost always the same.
I mean, and also like when you think about like why they're into it. Again, they're 9/11 truthers, which means that like they think that 9/11 was an inside job by the American government to like make a ton of cash.
Oil.
Yeah. Like, fuck. So like in this movie, Oscorp is
the Bush administration.
Yes. And they're selling, they're selling weapons of mass destruction to foreign governments and foreign terror, and they're funding terrorism, and they're doing false flag operations by saying like, oh yeah, we took care of everything back, so we're keeping things. And also Harry Osborn, he's guilty of all these things, but really they did it. I don't know, like once you kind of like see that, then you can't not see it in the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where I was like, I kind of wish I didn't know about the background of these guys because it is kind of ruining their work. But why is their work so predictable?
Right. Like, I feel like if you didn't know that about their writing, because, all their movies have this. But if you didn't know that, it probably wouldn't bother you, like, at all. You'd probably be like, oh, well, that was an interesting little thing they did. And then that's it.
I mean, it'd be one of those things where, like, after several movies, I'd be like, all right, what's up? Like, what are y'all doing?
Were these movies written by the same people?
Yeah. Again, like, they can write some exciting things, but also a lot of their movies are, like, very breakneck.
Which really shows in the third act of this one, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You don't think about it until you get out of the movie because everything happens so quickly that you don't have time to think about it. Now, in this movie, it does show up in the third act because the first two acts are pretty slow building, which usually
I like.
Usually I would say is fine. However, in this movie, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this isn't a Spider-Man movie. There's very little Spider-Man going on. This is a Peter Parker detective film And it's
I don't hate that.
I mean, I don't think it has its place in a film. I think it could exist in like a TV show where you have tons of episodes. And you'd be like, this one's a Peter Parker episode. He's going to go do a thing, and we're going to see very little Spider-Man. You'd be like, oh, that's a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
In a movie, I'm like, no, we only have 2 of these. You know what I mean? Like,
to be fair, there wasn't supposed to be only 2, but unfortunately, that's what we got stuck with.
The first movie was very much about Peter Parker finding his way into his hero persona.
It felt like
right?
almost like a coming of age type
Yeah.
story.
It's your classic origin film.
Yeah.
And I think they did that pretty well. Whereas this, it's like, what is this movie trying to be narratively?
Well, how much of this is also Sony saying we have to do this, we have to do this,
No,
we have to do this?
apparently a significant amount.
Because the first movie did well, we're going to capitalize on this by fucking with your movie this time around.
Yeah.
And I think Andrew Garfield has come out and said there was a lot of studio interference.
I don't deny it. But there's at least 25 to like 40% or something. I don't know, those are made up numbers. Are furthering the mystery boxes that the previous movie set up. And for what? Like, for what? What does it matter?
We didn't really get a payoff. That's the thing.
Well, yeah. But even if we did, what's the point? Like, what's the point that Richard and Mary Parker went on the lam?
Maybe they were supposed to get a spin-off movie.
I think they were.
So was Aunt May.
So was Aunt May. You know.
What was that going to be about?
Just working at the hospital? It's a drama? I don't know.
Maybe as a subplot in a movie, sure. But your own movie?
So there's stuff. Yeah. There's stuff in this that I really like. I really like all the Gwen Stacy stuff. All that stuff feels very earned. I feel like that is a natural continuation of the previous film. It's very interesting. Like I said, it brought up dilemmas that were like, I don't know.
Relationships in general were done very well in this. What do you call it when it's just 2 movies?
2 movies.
This duo of films.
There's probably a word, actually.
There's a word. I can't think of it right now because we're so used to like trilogies.
Trilogy, yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said before, I feel like, yes, this movie gets hated on a lot. And a lot of it is rightfully so. But I personally feel like this movie is more of like a black sheep than it is like an abomination.
I don't know, man. I don't see. I guess we're gonna split because like I don't feel like there's enough in this to make me want to be like, yeah, it's a black sheep. Like it has its own merits. It's just not popular. I think it's bad. I think overall, I think it's bad.
Okay.
I think like the good stuff doesn't make up for some of this bad stuff.
All right.
Philly to the J in the chat says, I don't know if it's accurate to the comics, but Oxford seemed a little extreme, and they just wanted a school far away to make it more urgent. In the comics, Gwen Stacy goes off to London for a bit.
So it's like somewhat comic accurate.
It
may not be for Oxford, but...
No. She actually just goes to, like, get away.
Okay.
And,
now, what made it urgent was, I'm leaving today. Like,
yeah.
That was a little weird. Like, she was already packed and headed to the airport the same day?
I mean, I kind of get what she was saying. She was like, uses it as an excuse, but, like, if I got accepted into Oxford, we're breaking up, so might as well just, like, cut the cord now.
It's like ripping the Band-Aid off. Yeah. I guess I get it. It seems very...
Cut the cord was the right thing.
Cut the cord.
That's like...
Is it a baby being born?
Yeah. That's like breaking away from your parents or whatever. But what were some of the things that because I didn't write this down, but what were some of the things that I was saying that like, I want to save that to analysis because
all the seeds that were planted trying to build up this new Sony universe, that was definitely one of them.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it. We talked about the starter packs.
The starter packs, the fact that Black Cat works at Oscorp.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of name drops, too. Those aren't as bad. Like, his boss being Alistair Smythe, that's not that crazy.
Yeah.
Spider Slayer.
The character of the gentleman, he's basically only known for putting together the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And he did it in a novel, which I thought was really weird. Not a comic book, a novel.
Yeah, and...
There's a weird tie-in.
There aren't too many of those. Like, well, I'm sure there's more now, but... like comic book characters made into like regular novel form, that's not a big thing that's done.
No, absolutely not.
There was a Thanos novel that came out a few years ago
that
was advertised as being canon to the MCU, but then afterwards they said it's not.
Sounds about right.
They tried really hard to get this new universe going, and they were trying to get it going very quickly. They were basically like, Marvel is already in phase 2.
Yeah.
So let's do what they do, but like
Guys,
right now.
Marvel just came out with Thor: The Dark World. What are we gonna do?
And here's the thing: if they put a little bit more thought into what they were doing with this movie, I think this movie would have beat out Thor: The Dark World. Absolutely.
Look, like I said, I think at the end of the day, Thor: Dark World is a fine movie. It's not too great, but it's fine.
That's how I feel about this movie.
No, I mean, it's not, I guess it's not that far off. I think this movie's bogged down by a lot of bad stuff, but it has some good stuff in it.
I don't think anything that's wrong with this movie, though, has anything to do with, the direction or even the director himself. I can confidently say this was all Sony fucking themselves over.
But then there's some tonal problems. This movie doesn't feel like a sequel to the last movie in terms of tone. And like I said, I think it's more of a case where they're like, that movie was really dark. We got to do something different this time. But in an attempt to distance themselves from the Raimi universe, they made something that's even more kind of cartoony and outlandish in Electro and Rhino. You know what I'm saying?
It's weird too, because it is cartoonish, but it's trying to be serious
in parts.
Yeah.
There is a tug of war going on here with the
that's
lighthearted
where it feels
and the
like
serious.
There's a war between Marc Webb and Sony here. It seems like somebody was trying to make one movie and somebody else was trying to make another.
And I mean, maybe, yeah, that could very well be it.
And there's good parts of both of them, but when you mix them together, there's problems.
Yeah. Again, what would the sequel look like? You're just hey,
Green Goblin blowing everybody up.
No, hey, Otto Octavius, take the starter pack.
Yeah.
You're Doc Ock now.
Well, they were trying to do an actual Sinister Six movie, in addition to Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Right, that's right.
So that probably would have happened in a separate spin-off movie. But do you have information on all the stuff that was supposed to spin out of this movie?
We talked about it last time. It was a Sinister Six,
Aunt May,
an Aunt May, maybe a Parker
Black
movie.
and Silver, or Silver and Black.
I don't think that was there.
That was afterwards.
I think that was afterwards. Yeah.
I think they were
an Amazing Spider-Man 3
They did want to do
a
a Venom thing, I think.
Yeah, and I think Venom. There was 6 movies that they were
because
what's
his name? Avi Arad is obsessed with Venom and wants to put him in everything.
Yeah, he's
the one that ruined Spider-Man 3.
He's essentially been ruining Spider-Man from the get-go.
He's a fucking toy maker. Why is he in charge of anything creative on films?
A lot of people say that this movie has too many villains. I actually take that back. I don't think it has too many villains. I think this is marketed as an Electro movie, but he's a minor villain thematically.
Yes. And I get wanting to have the Goblin be a surprise.
Yeah.
Which, you kind of see it happening during the film, but when, at least the first time I watched this, when he actually showed up, I was surprised.
I mean, he's in the poster.
I don't remember that poster,
I don't know.
that looks like the DVD cover.
The DVD cover's even worse, because I don't think that's a very good-looking poster.
Well, none of the Spider-Man posters have really been good, except for the Homecoming one.
Amazing Spider-Man 1's something good. No, the new Spider-Man...
Amazing Spider-Man 1, yeah.
Those are all good posters. And I want to, move this into the costumes, because...
Oh, yeah. Because I know you
there's something so real and tangible looking about Andrew Garfield's first costume. Posters of the movie, there's a nice color palette.
Yeah.
You look at this poster and the DVD cover poster, and they're just Photoshop messes, Yeah. I don't know. This is the part where I'm this is a course correction, because they didn't where they gave maybe Marc Webb too much visual
Which sucks
freedom.
Because the visuals in the first movie were great.
I think
His
the movie
suit was awesome.
I think the movie looks fantastic.
Yeah. It's a dark movie, but it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, cinematography-wise, this movie's very bright, and a lot of parts, the CGI looks worse because of it. I think that last movie
did too much.
Covers it up with the darkness a little bit.
Yeah.
But if we're into costume talk, it's costume talk, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's fine, but I hate it. This costume is fine, but I hate it.
I don't hate it because I think in the movie, and in motion, it looks fine. I think in still images, something looks wrong.
Yep.
Also, my one complaint, while it's in motion, is because it looks so comic book accurate, and at the same time, it's a real suit, it makes it look cheap.
Well, the last one didn't look cheap, though. The last one looked really good.
I know.
I don't understand what the distinction is, because...
Something about it,
I think it's the fabric. This fabric looks very fake, and it looks very nylon-y. It looks like pantyhose. The way it reflects light... Do you know what I mean?
I think so.
It looks like pantyhose, where the last one looked like more of a wetsuit.
I think it was a wetsuit, though. He literally ordered a wetsuit online and modified it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, in story and in real life, maybe. Yeah. The material looked better in the last one. It looked more like something someone would buy and wear, whereas
it looked slick, too.
Yeah. I like that.
It was very stylish.
What people didn't like was the design. It was
I thought the design looked cool.
First of all, it wasn't even that much of a departure when you look at some of the like other Spider-Man costumes he's worn in comics.
Some of them don't look like Spider-Man at all.
No, you think like Scarlet Spider or like Spectacular Spider.
Which a lot of them look cool in their own way, but they're not just a modification of the traditional suit.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2099.
I love that suit.
But it is
completely different.
Redesign.
It's got spikes on it. There's electricity running up and down it. I like that suit a lot. It's like the perfect kind of edgy for me.
Which is like 100% edge.
It's very 90s in a good way.
Another problem I have with this suit is that I don't feel like it's red and blue. I feel like it's 2 shades of purple. Like I feel like the red is a very red purple and the blue is a very blue purple.
I don't notice that. Like to me it looks red and blue. Even in this poster right here it looks red and blue.
This poster looks, I'm going to show you some pictures real quick. And in the movie in motion it looks much more red. So I halfway take it back. But it's still not.
It looks red and blue to me. Are you colorblind?
No, I'm not colorblind. Do you see like the red how
I guess it's not like a traditional red, I guess.
I feel like if you
still look at it though, I'm like, that's a Spider-Man suit.
I don't know. I think it's mostly the fabrics. I think they should have stuck to
whatever fabric they use in the first one.
I think what they should have done is change the eyes from the first one because it was unpopular, even though I think it's fine.
I think it was cool. It was like polarized lenses.
I thought it was cool, and I thought it was cool that they were yellow instead of like white.
Yeah.
Okay, people don't like that. Change the eyes. Change the design to fit the classic design, but keep the materials and keep the webbing. The webbing in the last one was awesome. I loved it. It was like built in. It wasn't raised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this movie did the raised webbing too. And that's one of the things I didn't really like about the Raimi suit was the raised webbing.
Yeah, I don't really like that too much.
Maybe the eyes are a little too big.
The eyes are a little too big for me. They're a little too bug-eyed. They are...
Which, like, and that's what Spider-Man looks like. I get it.
It's
something about it in live action doesn't look right, though.
Here's why. Because the eyes are based off of Mark Bagley. So Mark Bagley is the more modern, and by modern, I mean he took over, like, in the 90s. Don't quote me. Like, in the 90s, and he did it for a very long time, right? Okay. So, like, if you just Google Spider-Man, you're going to see Mark Bagley art.
Right.
Like, he has that kind of, like, more modern, but not super new Spider-Man art, and his eyes were pretty big and they were that shape. Now the eyes got bigger and bigger as different artists did it. Like Ditko was pretty small, and then Romita Sr. kind of just based it off Ditko, and then Todd McFarlane made his super big.
Well, Todd McFarlane's like ridiculous in everything he draws.
He's very extreme.
Yes,
he's the creator of Spawn and co-creator of Venom, right? And then you get other things like Scarlet Spider, which is like the whole face, his eyeballs. Right.
And Scarlet Spider, like, his suit is a completely different type of suit, though, so that looks cool in its own way. It's not like they changed Spider-Man.
Right. But these eyes are very reminiscent. I mean, not just reminiscent. They're pretty much exactly Mark Bagley's eyes. Yeah, but my point was, that's a drawing. You know, it's it's like an exaggerated feature on a drawing that doesn't necessarily work outside of artwork. No, like in real life,
in artwork, it's just like, okay, it's just they change the style a little bit.
Yeah.
In real life, it's like something doesn't look right.
I mean, sometimes they also draw Spider-Man to not look very proportionally human. Right. Like they make him very skinny and lanky, but that's the artwork.
Which,
you know,
Andrew Garfield kind of looks like that
a little bit. Yeah, he's on the thinner side.
But yeah, I think it's a case of they went too comic accurate with his suit. It makes it look weird at certain parts. I think in motion, like in the fight scenes and all that stuff, like it looked fine. It didn't bug me. When I see still images of it, it bugs me. But in the movie, I'm not bugged. It's weird.
Look, it's not my favorite. I actually like the lesser popular one from the last one.
I do too. I think that's my favorite live action Spidey suit, actually.
No, I like Tom Holland's. I think those are the best ones.
Which Tom Holland?
All of them. I think they're all great. I think the original, like just like
his regular, like the regular suit that Stark gave him.
Blue red, yeah.
Okay. I think the spider's a little too small on him. I don't know.
I think it's fine. I like that they added little touches to it. It's got the little black. Like it's not.
I like that he has the expressive eyes.
Yeah, he's got the Ditko eyes.
Yeah.
Where like they're a little bit slantier and kind of like thick black lines that, you know, they created a reason for why they look like that.
Yeah.
You know, with the lenses and stuff
I do still think my favorite live action Spidey suit is Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. Mostly because it's something different and it looks cool.
Hey, you know what? And we talked about this before with that episode, but like the fact that it looks like a real suit that someone could wear in real life.
Yes.
Because Tobey Maguire's didn't look like that at all. It looked like
A professionally done costume.
Yep. It looked like a movie set made it from, like a movie production team made it from. Whereas the Andrew Garfield one, it's got the wrinkles, it's got the seams, like it doesn't line up perfectly.
Yeah.
It looks like he made it. Now this one obviously looks much more higher quality, but it still has it still has wrinkles. I really do like the opening shot on him when he's going down, and you see the
wrinkles
wind
in the fabric and
like kind of blow the little wrinkles in it, you know?
And I like that because it makes the suit look real. It is a real suit, but it makes it feel a little bit more real.
Yeah.
But again, like too much of the comic book, I think. It's they thought too hard about...
There is such a thing about being too comic accurate.
Yes.
That is an art medium. That doesn't always translate one-to-one to real life. Now, you could do all kinds of things. Again, the Tom Holland suit, like it looks like it was reverse engineered. Like they base a drawing off of that. And that's the way to do it, I think. I don't think you can do exactly what the comic does.
No, because it's a comic.
Yeah.
It's ink. Oh yeah, Philly said, looking at the pictures on his own, the shadows and low lights aggressively blur the colors to look purple.
It's a lot of purple.
I think it's purple. I think it's a lighting thing.
The colors are not right. And in some shots it looks fine, but for the most part, I don't like the tone of red and the tone of blue. I think all the other costumes do it better. And the first costume, the one that we like, is extremely red. And I like that a lot.
It is.
It's the perfect red. It's really strong.
It's the perfect thing.
It's the perfect thing. And then we talked about this Green Goblin's costume. It's fine, but it's weird. It's another mech suit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like an armored kind of Iron Man-y type thing.
Yeah.
It's really not that dissimilar from the Raimi one.
Oh, true.
Electro has a costume. He wears it for a little bit. It's like a black suit.
It's like a jumpsuit.
Did you see all the little lightning things that he has on? It has like little drawings. Who made this? And with what time?
He probably did.
When?
He seems like the type of guy that would do that.
They broke him out of jail. A minute later, he's wearing a little suit with little lightning patches all over him. Like it's cute, but it's not. You know?
No, because at first he's just wearing a hoodie because that's just the only clothes that he had. But like eventually he gets like that black
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's like a jumpsuit.
It's like a jumpsuit, and he has like the little thing in his head, I guess. But like this was based off of like the Ultimate Comics Electro, who doesn't really have a suit. He's just a energy guy.
Actually, he does have a black suit. So that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
But when he does go full like final form energy, then he's just naked.
He's just naked in blue.
Just naked in blue without, but like no penis.
Yeah.
And
it just makes him. He just looks like an electric Iceman.
Yeah. In this one, he has the little shorts, which is weird that he materializes the shorts.
Maybe he didn't want to go around naked.
It's a PG-13 movie.
Also, yeah.
Because I mean, Dr. Manhattan, they're like, fuck it, you didn't give a shit.
Put a dick there.
He just got his
a giant blue dick.
Got his big blue dong just flapping around. Can we talk about the music? Because I hate it. I think it's mostly generic. We talked about it for a minute.
I think I liked some of the stuff they tried to do. But I will say the only track I really like is the one that you hate, the Electro's theme.
I hate that he's like a music-powered dubstep. Like, that's one of his powers. That thing that's stupid. And his inner voice sings to him. Why?
I don't hate that. I thought it was interesting that his theme starts off kind of like whimsical and like innocent, almost naive, and then it kind of like starts turning into like this kind of messed up like voices in your head, and then they get angry, and I don't know.
That's all fine.
It's experimental, and I think that's why I like it.
We talked a little about the action too. I thought it was mostly weightless.
It was very stylish, though.
I also mentioned this, like, this movie has very little Spider-Man in it. It's mostly like Peter Parker doing detective stuff. And what sucks about that is that we get few action bits with Spider-Man. There's the opening with the little canisters and shit, and then like he fights Electro, and then we don't see Spider-Man again till the end of the movie. Yeah. Am I wrong? Because I can't. I mean, I have to think about
Green Goblin stuff.
Shows up to talk to Harry.
In
costume,
suit. And he's like, "Hey, fuck you, Harry! I'm not giving you my blood."
Man, yeah. And then at the fight at the end, he's fighting Electro, so it's just all CGI anyway. Like, he's not fighting anybody really.
No.
So think about the lizard fight in the last movie. It is CGI. However, you felt it. Like, it all feels real. Like, you feel like punches are landing. You know what I mean? Like, people are getting hurt. Things are breaking.
Yeah.
Even the shot in the library where they're swinging around Stan Lee, it feels real. It feels like that's real destruction. You know what I mean? That's something we like sorely missing in this movie, I think.
Yeah, the closest I feel we got to like that fight with the lizard at the school was like maybe that brief encounter with the Green Goblin. And that was like kind of it.
Then, before you know it, they're like in the whole clock gear contraption. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the fighting just wasn't as satisfying.
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Last thing I want to say before we move on, I forgot there was a post-credits to this movie, but it wasn't part of the movie.
Oh, you had to Shazam a song, right?
What?
I think you had to Shazam a song.
No, it was a Days of Future Past snippet.
Well,
do you remember this? People were confused. They're like, are they crossing over with X-Men?
I think I do remember that. But I also remember that there was an additional scene. It had to do with like setting up Sinister Six shit. But if you Shazammed the song that played at the end of the credits, you got a link that took you to a video.
That's too much.
It's too much.
It's too much.
So very 2014.
So apparently Marc Webb had an existing contract with Fox Searchlight to helm another film following 500 Days of Summer. And so after Amazing Spider-Man in 2012, Webb's negotiations briefly stalled with Sony as he was caught in a tug of war with Fox. Eventually, Fox agreed to allow Webb to direct this Spider-Man movie, but only if Sony would promote its X-Men movie for free.
All it did was confuse people.
It did confuse people. I mean, I was pretty much like, oh yeah, this is a movie that's coming out. I get it. They're just cross-promoting. Like, I knew that there was no way they were going to, like, Spider-Man and X-Men from the fucking 70s were going to, like,
doesn't
meet
make
up.
sense.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's it for analysis. We got everything done.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. We're getting to Keep or Cancel. This is a segment of the show where we talk about the star of the movie and we decide if we're going to keep them or we're going to cancel them. It's a play on cancel culture. You get it. Last week we did, who did you?
Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. So I thought for this one, we'll do BJ Novak. I'm just kidding. We're doing Jamie Foxx.
All right. Yeah, we could talk about Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx. His name is Eric Marlon Bishop.
That's not as cool as
it's
Jamie
not as
Foxx.
cool as Jamie Foxx.
With two X's.
Two X's. That's important, by the way.
Two X's.
He started as a stand-up comedian. Did you know that?
I think I did.
I think I did and I forgot. In Living Color. Also, he had a recurring role on a TV show called Rock. That paved the way for him to get his own show called The Jamie Foxx Show. I have never heard of The Jamie Foxx Show. It ran for like 5 seasons.
Was it a comedy?
Yeah, it was a sitcom.
Oh.
No idea.
Huh.
First time I ever saw him was on Any Given Sunday. It's a NFL-esque football movie.
I think the first time I saw him was in Ray.
Al Pacino, he's like the football coach and he's yelling at all his football players. So Any Given Sunday, Ali, he was in the Will Smith movie. I didn't know that because I didn't see Ali. As it turns out, there's a lot of movies with Jamie Foxx I just haven't seen.
Muhammad Ali?
Yes, yeah. Will Smith plays Muhammad Ali, and I don't know, Jamie Foxx is in it. Collateral. Have you seen Collateral?
I've seen it.
It's a good movie. Jamie Foxx is a cab driver, picks up a fare, and it's Tom Cruise.
Collateral.
Thanks. Yeah, it's Mr. Collateral, the assassin. Tom Cruise he's like a hitman with like white hair. He wears a wig, and he hired Jamie Foxx to be his cab driver. And now Jamie Foxx is like, what the fuck? And now he's like an accomplice.
Yeah.
To like a hitman.
It's like
it's a good movie.
It does have like a lot of the similar things that most Tom Cruise action movies have, though, which is just like, oh man, this guy's like fucking perfect. You know, he's gonna run a lot.
Does he run in that movie?
I think he does.
I don't think he runs in that movie.
I'm picturing him doing the
classic Tom Cruise run. Yeah. I don't think he runs that much. Ray
Charles.
Yeah.
Good movie.
He won Best Actor for that one.
Drama.
I haven't seen it actually.
Really?
Nope.
I saw it as a kid and I liked it. I probably didn't understand it that well, but
probably not. After Ray, he's starting to get featured in songs as a singer, which he wasn't really doing before this.
He was just kind of expanding his horizons a bit.
So Slow Jams, and then obviously Gold Digger, Kanye West.
Oh yeah.
I ain't saying she's a gold digger. You know the song. You know it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
I mean, I've heard it.
That's one of those things where I'm like, I remember when that song came out, I was like, Jamie Foxx, the actor? Really? You know? But,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't like Kanye West, but it's not a bad song. It's also one of those that, like, really has stood the test of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a big song.
What about, alcohol? Is that song just called Blame It?
Maybe? I don't know.
Huh. It's not a great song.
The Soloist?
I've not seen The Soloist.
Isn't that one about a violinist?
I don't know.
Isn't that one with fucking RDJ?
I don't know.
Oh my god. You're useless.
I've seen Law Abiding Citizen.
Yes, it's with RDJ.
Ooh, RDJ.
RDJ is like a solo. He's like a violinist.
Okay.
Jamie Foxx is a homeless man, and I don't know,
he plays the piano and
they do
he's
something
blind.
together. I remember the trailer for that. I'm like, that looks good. I want to see that. Bunch more movies. Law Abiding Citizen. You saw?
Yeah.
That's not a good movie, right? I thought
It's fine.
good enough. Jarhead, Stealth. That's the one with like the AI.
Stealth sucks.
Plane.
Jarhead's good.
It looks so bad. I remember the trailers. I was like, that looks horrible.
Jarhead's good though.
Is it?
I thought so.
Isn't that with
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Gyllenhaal, yeah.
Yeah.
Miami Vice, Dreamgirls musical.
I don't think I've seen that either.
Due Date.
With RDJ.
Again with RDJ, yeah.
I didn't like that movie that much. I didn't
You
think it
saw
was
it?
as funny as everybody else did.
Is Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I
haven't seen most of these
I
movies.
saw it once on a Redbox rental, and
Nice.
I wasn't impressed.
Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses 2. I like Horrible Bosses a lot. I never saw the sequel.
I've only seen the first one also.
He's the criminal that...
He
Yeah,
bootlegs a movie?
Yeah, he's just selling bootlegs, but they think he's like an assassin.
That's funny.
It's a good movie.
I need to watch that movie again.
Me too. It's funny. Movies like those that are like basically just comedies. Like once you forget the jokes, and it's much more enjoyable. You can watch it again. You know
Yeah,
what
and
I
then
mean?
you're like, oh, that's funny.
You're like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Baby Driver. That's you haven't seen it yet.
I still need to see Baby
God,
Driver
you
because
need to
I've
watch it.
actually heard a lot of good things about
Okay,
that.
Jamie Foxx is actually incredible in Baby Driver. He plays just like one of the like robbers, but he's like kind of unhinged, and he's actually scary. Like you buy that he's scary.
Oh.
Robin Hood, the new Robin Hood.
The one with the dude from Kingsman?
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but I wanted to. It looked interesting.
And Soul. He was in that Soul movie that I still haven't seen. So
I haven't seen Soul either, but I have heard really good things about it. I heard it's a very touching movie.
yeah, same. So he's got a couple studio albums, got a couple stand-up specials. Like he's kind of at least he's trying to be like a do-it-all guy, right? And I appreciate that. He wants to sing, wants to act, wants to produce, wants to do comedy.
He did Django Unchained.
Oh, I forgot to write that down. Django Unchained, obviously.
That's one of his biggest roles.
Yes. Why didn't I write that one down? I was looking at it too. Anyway, yeah, Django Unchained.
Who made a cameo appearance in
fucking great movie.
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, did he really?
It was kind of funny, actually.
Don't forget that there was possibly going to be a crossover between Django Unchained and Zorro. And every day that goes by that doesn't happen, we're getting robbed.
That'd be interesting.
Look.
That'd be very interesting.
Can we get like a boots on the ground tweet campaign like
I still want that
Restore the
21 Jump
Snyderverse?
Street Men in Black crossover.
No, fuck that. I want Django Unchained with Zorro. That's what I want.
And they just liberate people?
Yeah, they're just murdering people left and right. There's a comic crossover and they were going to make it in real life. Tarantino wanted it to happen. Look it up and start tweeting at the movie studios because we got to make this movie happen.
And get everybody you know to do it too.
Yeah. Anyway. So Jamie Foxx. He's a cool dude. I like him a lot.
He's cool.
I will never be as cool as Jamie Foxx, but it's cool that cool people like him exist.
Some of his music ain't great, but keep him.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Into the Phantom Zone. This movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What do you think? What's the word I'm looking for?
What's
your verdict? What's your verdict?
I'm going to keep it, and I know you're going to disagree with me. I like a lot of stuff that's in this movie, and I personally do think that the good outweighs the bad as far as I'm concerned. And I do feel like there are parts of this that capture the spirit of Spider-Man really well that hasn't quite been done in live action yet. But I just wish that we had some better writing on this movie and that they weren't rushing to create a whole universe spinning out of this movie.
Berto, you know what? I think I agree with everything you just said. I just think that it's the opposite for me, whereas I think the bad far outweighs the good here.
Okay.
But I think you're right. Everything you said is correct. Not correct. That I agree with. Yeah. You're correct.
I'm just a little bit more forgiving on this movie than you are.
I think so.
Guess.
You know what I think it is like at the end of the day, I think the biggest crime this movie commits is that it's not fun. It's just like a lot of time uncovering those mystery boxes that they set up. It is a lot of good Peter and Gwen stuff, which I do appreciate, but none of that is balanced with any good times. There's no good times in this movie. The last one had its dark moments, but like it was also quippy. The action was really good. It was fun to watch. It was exciting. This one is kind of a bore for a good hour in the middle. And I'm not saying there's not good stuff.
You could argue that there's good times, like in the beginning with him being Spidey. And then that little montage, and then that's about it.
That's the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Maybe like the last like 2 minutes of the movie too.
There's the thing is that there's like a kind of overlong, boring, non-Spider-Man movie in the middle of this movie, and I think some of that stuff can be salvaged. Like I don't care for all this like. We're uncovering his past for what? What's the payoff? There is no payoff. Like
we found out that he's the chosen one. That was the payoff.
Yeah, sure. Again, that goes against what Spider-Man is at a fundamental level.
Which is crazy because there's so many other things that like celebrate Spider-Man as well. It's
sure. Yeah.
The movie's at war with itself.
Yeah, it really is. All his interactions with children, he has 2 of them.
Fantastic.
And they're all great. You know what I mean? There could have been a better balance. You could have kept a lot of that Gwen Stacy stuff and then put in more action beats that are fun to watch, and then you put Spider-Man on the screen. How bad is that? A Spider-Man movie should have Spider-Man in it. We've talked about this with Batman, where they're like, it's all the villains, they get all the screen time, and then Batman is like...
That was the Batman movie I liked, too.
But it's just, he's barely in it.
Batman Returns?
He's just barely in it. In the first one, he's barely in that one, too. Like,
yeah.
The Keaton ones, he's just not in those movies, and this is what I get here. Like, it's a total mess. The cartoony bits I don't really like, especially like the last movie spent a lot of time developing the lizard, and yet he had one moment where we're like, all right, calm down. But this is like, this movie put a lot of time into Harry Osborn and then just kind of gave us this cartoon Green Goblin at the end.
Yeah. I think they did sell him as threatening, though. For sure, like he showed up and killed Spider-Man's girlfriend.
I think it's a mix. But the movie needs to be more fun if you're just going to like kill Gwen Stacy in the way that you did. And I remember that is the thing that made me not like this movie when I first watched it. Because I said, it's way too down.
It's bleak.
It's such a downer. It's pretending to be lighter in tone than the last one, but that's just pretend. You know what I mean? It could have been more fun in more organic ways, and it's not. And I think...
Maybe he was trying to do the whole like Empire Strikes Back thing.
Yes. I think this movie could have been made better retroactively with a much better Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
I think you start that movie off with that deleted scene, basically. And then you do some other stuff. And yeah, the presence of Gwen Stacy is going to be with him forever. Like that decision, or not that decision, like that, well, I mean, he also kind of like went and put I love you on the fucking bridge. Like, what'd you think was going to happen? He's just not going to follow you? Like,
it was cute.
He did kind of make a decision to like get her on board, right?
Right.
But that decision for her to be there is going to live with him forever. And since we never got any other movies, like we don't get to see any of that. So I really hope, because I'm going to put this in the Phantom Zone, right?
Okay.
Because I'm just overall like, look, I'm probably not going to watch it again. I think if No Way Home, again, if we have a nice touching scene where the 3 Peters get to like sit and talk about their lives, their universes, and what they did, maybe they're giving advice to the youngest Peter Parker here, who's about to like face his biggest challenge ever, based on their experiences. Obviously, Andrew Garfield has gone through the most like trauma, right?
Yeah.
By far.
He probably has the worst life out of all 3 of them.
I think you could write a scene in there that could maybe make me like some of the stuff more. Give that character proper closure, not like, here's a deleted scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that could work on some level. And I really hope No Way Home does that. One scene, cap off Tobey's universe, cap off Andrew Garfield's universe, and just kind of like all work together in tandem, I think that could really work, and it can make this movie a little bit better. But for the most part, it doesn't work for me.
I really hope he's the one that saves MJ falling off the Statue of Liberty.
I kind of hope he doesn't, because they don't even know each other, but maybe.
I think it'd be a nice redemption.
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah,
you know?
he's not about to let this happen to another Peter.
Yeah, and if it is what they do, then
I'd be fine with
everyone
I'd
saw
like
that coming. Everybody saw that coming.
No, people are already calling it. Yeah.
So, guys, that's pretty much it for us. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks to that piano dude for our musical intro. Guys, make sure you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service that you're allowed to do that in. And make sure you tell a friend. If you haven't told a friend, thank you for telling a friend. You can find us on Instagram at Films from the Phantom Zone. And you can find us on Twitter. If you want to argue with us, you can do it on Twitter. Films from PZ. We will at you right back, bitch. We're also on TikTok at Films from PZ. A lot of people start debating on TikTok, which is fun.
Yes.
It's fun to watch.
You want to piss people off on TikTok? Make an audiogram saying that this movie's better than Spider-Man 2.
Challenge accepted.
That'll piss everybody off.
All these episodes are available on YouTube. If that's how you like listening to your podcasts, just throw up a Chrome browser while you're working from home. Hey, you can do that. We're on there. Also, all these episodes are live streamed on Twitch when we record them. So if you enjoy the show, you want to be a part of the show, you want to hang out with us, you can do that. We're on twitch.tv/filmsfrompz every Monday night. Most Monday nights, I take that way back. I want to backpedal real hard. Most Monday nights.
Especially this month.
Oh yeah, man! It's the holidays. It's the holiday season. It's a holiday season, so it's tough. And
it's the Spider-Man season.
It's the Spider-Man season. So it can be tough, but hey, we're here a lot of Mondays. We usually put out when we're gonna be live. We got people in the chat this week. Philly the J says, "This was so much fun. I can't wait for next week's show." Hey man, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We've just been back and forth with him and a couple other people in the chat. If you guys want to do that, hang out with us, come on Twitch. It's a great time. We might be doing some video game stuff too, just to kind of hang out on Twitch a little bit longer. Just for funsies. If you want to support the show, we're on Patreon. We're still trying to figure that out. I think if we can get a nice little community, we can do some community events, hang out, maybe play some games, just do some stuff. Other than that, I think that's it. We will see you next week. Berto, what movie are we doing? We don't have one planned out.
I don't think we have one yet. Shit.
We don't have our next movie planned out, actually.
I know we're definitely going to do an episode on No Way Home when that comes out.
Okay. So let's not make any promises we can't keep. We don't have a movie picked out yet. However, upcoming is going to be a Spider-Man No Way Home review.
Yes.
That's a big deal. We're also going into the new... We're going to have a Christmas special. Our second annual Christmas special. And then I think what we'll be doing in the beginning of next year is having a Phantom Zone Awards. I think we're going to go down our list, all the movies we did this year. We started in October of last year, so we've got a little bit more than 1 year's worth of episodes. This is our 32nd episode. So we have 32 movies, and we can assign awards based on hey, this is our favorite vehicle, our favorite costume, worst performance.
Most referenced.
Trevor Slattery's coming close second, man, let me tell you. And so is I Think You Should Leave. And then so I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. I think I'm gonna have Sable moderate that also.
Okay, so
look forward to those episodes. It's gonna be a good time. Then by sometime in January we will come back with the next failed and forgotten comic book movie.
Yes.
How's that? Sound good?
What if we started doing games from the Phantom Zone?
Okay,
there's a lot of bad comic book games.
Damn it, Berto.
There's a lot.
You ruined my surprise.
Wait, is that a thing?
No, but I do want to do the PS4 Spider-Man game. Because that's basically a movie.
Yeah.
I think what I want to do is by the time I finish the game, then we can just treat it like a movie. I think that'd be a fun thing.
Okay.
Let's do that.
You're going to have to remember everything that happened in the game.
No,
I'm going to have to replay the game.
No, we'll just sit and watch the cutscenes.
Nah, you gotta get the full experience.
No, God, this is going to take so long.
I can do it in 2 days.
Oh my God. All right, guys. He doesn't have a life. All right, guys. Thank you. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.